So often we hold the NORC field to such high acclaim for their super speedway skill, and tonight they'll be held to those expectations. For some, it's a final opportunity to relax before battling for their championship, and for others, it's the final opportunity to claw back into contention or even a must-win scenario to keep treading water. The NORC Season 13 Chase Cutoff Race is next from Daytona. Welcome to the virtual Daytona Beach, Florida. Emerson Arden and Joe Donahue join me in the booth this evening. Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media coverage. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and I welcome you all to this evening's Pit Stop TV coverage of the NORC iRacing Series. Season 13 comes to our mid-season checkpoint this evening, forcing some drivers into the aforementioned must-win situation. Emerson, the stress is piled high, the opportunity to make the chase is thinning, and this race is truly the biggest wildcard of the season. And that's not even to mention the bumps and jumps here at the Legacy version of Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. The pressure is as high as it ever will be, especially if you're around that cut line. Or, I mean, you look at the points here. I mean, it's a 3-point difference at the cut line. It is wild. But the points, of course, the drivers who are, most likely in. You look at Lindgren on up for sure, and then Aaron Smith there in ninth is an interesting situation as well. But when you get to Daytona, Legacy Daytona, a whole different story. With the pack racing, the fact that there's so many bumps, you could lose it anywhere, and then all of a sudden, your entire season is up in smoke. It really is about being in the right spot at the right time, and how do you know what that is? You don't.
And this really is a very stressful situation for these guys, Joe. You see the points in front, as Emerson was talking about. 8th place on up, safe at this point. Zach Lindgren on up. That's your cutoff. If you're Aaron Smith, Will Klein, and Sheldon Lockey, you've got to make sure you execute, especially if you're Sheldon Lockey, with just 3 points to Sean Williams in 12th. Now, it's interesting here, and Joe, you even asked me about this earlier today regarding the wild card. Excuse me. So, the wild card of Cody Miller having a win and being between positions 13 and 30 in the points moves him up into the chase. He would technically occupy the 12th slot, but for visualization's sake, we have him moved up into 11th, and Sheldon Lockey on back as your points battle. This is where things get interesting and where we have what we call the bubble. Sheldon Lockey, 3 points of the good. Sean Williams, 3 points out. Howie Briss, 4 points out. Tommy Gossett, 25 points out. Spencer Owens, the first driver that we feel is in a must-win situation at 35 points out. And then Hayes Booth at 39 out. Ariotti, Cole Freilich, Terrell Baker on down the line.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to dictate the way that these guys look at their strategy throughout this race. We talked about Legacy Daytona, the bumps and jumps you mentioned before, Andrew. This track is just unpredictable and can be scary, flat up scary when you're in a pack. So those guys at the cutoff to the good, maybe Aaron Smith, Will Klein, Sheldon Lockey, they're going to try to be a little more conservative and safe about getting to the front throughout the course of the race. But you look past that cutoff line, you got to think, is it going to go to those guys' heads? Are Sean Williams, Howie Briss, Tommy Gossett, are those guys going to be all in on this race, trying to make as much of an opportunity as they can to get themselves into those playoffs? It's going to play into different strategies and different mindsets throughout this race, and I think that's something that's going to be really important to keep track of at the very beginning of this race and at the very end especially.
There's a lot to try and keep track of. We'll do our best throughout the course of the afternoon, evening, and into a bit of sunset potentially, depending on how long this race goes on. Talking so much about standings, but let's look at the schedule as well, because this plays directly into things here, guys. Daytona, of course, led off the season, but that was on the current scan of Daytona. Throwing things back here in race 18, we are, and next week, once we get this chase kicked off, we see that the string of races to the end here, Emerson, and it's a very interesting and diverse one as well. That's the one thing that Eric Brennan has preached all season long, the diversity throughout this entire schedule, especially the final 7.
Absolutely. If you haven't been through the gauntlet already in this regular season, once the points reset, it's basically a whole second gauntlet. You have the flat 2.5-mile rectangular oval Indianapolis, the 1.5 mile at Texas, Bristol dirt. I mean, what a dirt track in the playoffs is seriously something out of this world to me, and I can't wait for round 21. The original Super Speedway Darlington Raceway, the 1.36-mile egg, very narrow. It's going to be a lot of fun there. Phoenix with a dog leg on the back straightaway. Very, very flat 1 mile short track. Chicagoland, Las Vegas Mountain Haskell of the season. I can't wait for this 7 race stretch.
Yeah, you mentioned Bristol Dirt. I think that's the big kicker in there for everybody. We see no road courses in the chase either, so the couple of road courses that did make up a couple of spots on the schedule, Road Atlanta and Road America, they, of course, sorted out for a couple of wins, but only for Daniel Falkingham. Otherwise, those are kind of out of the window for these guys. It's just a matter of nailing down their oval prowess. Again, in Indianapolis, Texas, Bristol Dirt, Darlington, Phoenix, Chicagoland, and Las Vegas. Those back couple of races being very similar as well, Chicagoland and Las Vegas. That will be very interesting when it gets down to it. So we do take a look here at, of course, the Daytona International Speedway. It's very similar to any other track map you'd see of this place, Joe. It's the straight-up 18-degree tri-oval, 31-degree corners, 2.5 mile super speedway. Nothing fancy there as far as the layout, but it's the bumps we'll be talking about this evening, the bumps that these drivers are going over that will change this race.
Absolutely. So, like Andrew mentioned, this is the legacy version of Daytona, so this is going to be an older scan of the racetrack for those of you who may not have the prowess of your experience in iRacing. This was made when the track was still very bumpy back in 07. It hadn't been repaved, and it's much smoother to run the updated Daytona International Speedway in this game. But as you can see when we're on board with Brent Ferrari right here through 1 and 2, there are just bumps all the way around this racetrack, and you're not going to be able to escape it. You see Spencer Ray right here, might even got a little bit caught out. Cole Fralick and Daniel Falkingham, we're getting a very good view of Cole Fralick right here. And you can see just how much these cars are jumping around in the middle of the corners, and that is an absolutely terrifying experience when you're in a large pack of cars. So these guys, I mean, they race against each other weekly. They know how to race against one another, and they've got a lot of respect between each other. But even still, it gets your nerves up, and you're watching out a little bit extra when you're racing at Legacy Daytona.
Certainly, a lot for these drivers and us alike to watch out for this afternoon. Things wrapping up as far as practice goes here from Daytona. Don't go anywhere. A whole lot of coverage left to go throughout the day. Of course, we haven't even gotten the party started. Qualifying opening up momentarily. Stick with us here at Pit Stop TV.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Bringing you right back to the Legacy Daytona International Speedway. Just a few drivers so far on the list for qualifying times. Looking like 9 so far, Emerson and Joe. Just a few cars even still running, it looks like. Jared Darling is one of them here in qualifying, coming around the tri-oval now in his number 1 Chevrolet Camaro. He will come across the line and go, well, he was 6th. Let's see where he goes now. To the pole. Quick time for the driver out of Illinois.
Absolutely, Jared Darling going top of the charts, and he's going to bring it to a stop. That was his second timed lap, and it looks like a lot of these drivers are set up for the second time laps. Of course, we're into the final minute here, so if you aren't already on that lap, that's probably not going to happen for you. Oxendine now to the line, middle of the racetrack. You saw Darling go all the way to the apron here, and you'll see Oxendine do the same. Shortest way around the racetrack to the line. Chad Oxendine goes 6th.
Solid run right there for Chad Oxendine off of the exit of that corner. Kind of surprised to see so few cars having times up already on this chart, but maybe that's part of that strategy we talked about earlier, trying to make it through those first couple laps.
Well, this is very common here in the NORC iRacing series. Usually drivers do forego qualifying on these plate tracks. It's very interesting what they do. I've never understood it, even when I drove in the series, that so many drivers forego qualifying. I understand a few, certainly, but if everybody tries to go to the back, well, then everybody's in the back, and the back is no longer the back because it's the entire field. So, hey, we'll see how it works out for these guys. 10 drivers turning times. They're your top 10 there on your list. We will step aside then and let, I guess, the session roll over, and we only have 10 cars with timed laps that we get to go through here in our grid, but we do have a, looks like almost 30 car field, not quite 30 cars this evening at Legacy Daytona. So we'll start things off, of course, with row number 1 taking pole this evening. It's car number 1, Jared Darling, and he's safe. He's in the chase at this point, but it's still got to feel pretty good starting this thing off on pole for the driver of the 1 car. Howie Briss starts to his outside, somebody that desperately needs points in that number 97 Chevrolet. Starting third this evening, it's going to be Tommy Gossett in the double aught. He also needs a lot of points here, guys. He has got to capitalize this evening, and he's not alone. On that second row, we'll also have Spencer Ray to his outside. Starting in the 5th spot, it's Hayes Booth, a driver in a must-win situation, alongside Cole Freilich, another driver in the top 20 in a must-win situation. Starting from the 7th spot this evening, Chad Oxendine, somebody with a couple of race wins to his resume this season. He's good. He's in the chase. Sean Williams, though, he needs 3 points to tie up with Sheldon Lockey. A 4th would get him in. Starting in the 9th position this evening at Daytona, it's Josh Robbins, somebody who has definitely let us know today that he feels confident about this race, alongside Zach Lindgren in the 85.
We find our way back to row number 6, and it'll be the 6th-time winner this season, Daniel Falkenham, and with Will Klein to his outside. Fall back to row number 7, and it'll be the 96 of Zoltan Hertzeg, the 24 of Bobby Cheney. Row number 8, it's going to be where we find the 23 of Ariotti and the 5 of David Schutt. Ariotti pretty just inside the top 20 points there, so looking for a good run today. Spencer Owen, 17th. TCB there in 18th in a must-win situation, and we find our way back to row number 10, and it'll be Tom Mercier in the 68, Sheldon Lockey in the 69.
Roll back to row number 11, starting on the inside, the number 27 of Jared Wishen, and to his outside is going to be that 74 machine. We know that name well. That's John Barry. Rolling off 23rd on the grid, you got the number 35 of Brett Punkari, and to his outside in the number 42, Elijah Gracia, 2 regulars in the NORC series. Rolling back to 25th on the grid, you see James Simmons in car number 57, and to his outside is going to be the number 9 of Patrick Colby, a great finish at Talladega when we went Spooper Speedway racing before. And when you go back to 27th on the grid, you'll see Michael Keithley is going to start all along his lonesome in that row in the number 53 machine.
So 27 cars seems to be the count here. Tom Mercier having problems getting off the grid, but he should join us now as the field takes to the high banks for the first time before going green here at the Daytona International Speedway. It's going to be a fun one, that is for sure. You see them rolling through turns 1 and 2. A little bit overcast at this point. We check the weather, and things look a little bit warm, but certainly for the middle of summer at Florida, that's not so bad. 91 degrees. The wind is kind of moving around, and the clouds are building, so I wonder how that might affect this race. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, less sunlight means the track temp might hold a little bit lower, but I still think it's going to be a bit of a toasty one for these drivers down in not quite South Florida. I'd say Central Florida works here for Daytona, so I can't wait to see how things are going. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about rain. That's the big thing. With clouds building, we don't have to worry about rain in the sim yet. Of course, it's coming to iRacing, but not quite in the sim just yet for these drivers to have to contend with. This is, of course, a wild card race, and with that comes so many different sets of skills, so many different drivers that just rise to the top. And of course, we've got to get things started off by handing things over to the one, the only Terrell Baker. We're going to give him a little bit of extra time up here as well. TCB, take it away.
All right, boys, here we are right here at Daytona. All right, boys, can I get a good old bumpy Daytona? Yeah!
The whole pack coming around turn number 2. Jared Darling leading the way. Tommy Gossett in tow. Cheney dips low. He's going to back out.
And down the back straightaway, this is where the energy's going to start to rise. Tommy Gossett gets taken 3 wide with Hayes Booth up the inside, looking for his way to the front. Howie Briss, the push up to the outside of Jared Darling. He loses his help, though. Howie Briss trying to hang up there tough with no help.
Howie Briss, one of those guys on the chase cutoff right now. He's going to thunder down the top side of the front stretch. He's got a little bit of help now from Spencer Ray behind him. Coming to the line, lap number 1 is going to be led by that number 1 machine of Jared Darling with Hayes Booth right in his toe.
How about that for Jared Darling leading the first lap? Howie Briss to his outside. Everybody taking form and getting ready for the rest of this one. Looks like we lose the field for a moment. We're back. I think we're okay. Might have had a bit of a network dip there, but we are back. Lap number 2. Down the Daytona Superstretch for the second time. Cole Freilich making his way further through this top 10. Chad Oxendine there on the bottom side. 3 wide. It looks like Zoltan Herczeg moves up through the middle.
Someone I'm surprised to not see up here is TCB. And TCB, he had started from the pit lane. So that's just something I figured I should mention it when it's come time to play here. And there he is there all by himself on the back straightaway. TCB playing the long call here and knowing that he needs to be there at the end to see if he can make it into this into the playoffs.
This is definitely going to be a tough situation to overcome for TCB if we don't get an early yellow. If he goes a lap down, it's going to make a much more steep hill to climb for that number 25 machine. Meanwhile, at the front end, Spencer Ray has taken over this race lead. He's got Hertzeg right behind him. Darling has to settle to run third in line as they go around Howie Briss on the top side. Cole Freilich right there, too.
Some of these drivers trying to work things out, figure out where they belong in this pack. Spencer Ray doing a great job down there in that bright red and yellow and orange Mountain Dew machine. Love that number 6 car this evening. Bit of an interesting number font on there as well for him. Hayes Booth, he was moving up pretty quickly, but now he's starting to fall back a little bit. Seems like the pack didn't quite like the way he was being aggressive there at the start, so they're starting to get rid of him for the time being. But Zoltan Herczeg moving up. Michael Keithley running the fastest time of the lap, or fastest time of the race so far on lap number 3 anyhow, and Cole Freilich sitting tight on the outside right behind Jared Darling.
Yeah, we know Cole Freilich and what he's got to do to make it into the playoffs, and he knows what he's got to do, and he's going to be aggressive straight to the inside of Jared Darling. He wants to lead. He wants to command this race, and for now, he's going to the command point. But he now links up Jared Darling and Josh Robin knows to on the outside lane. That's a combo to watch up high.
Absolutely. We know Cole Freilich as the madman. He does not like to wait around here on the super speedways. He's got Zoltan Herzeg helping him, and they are successfully putting a little bit of space in between Freilich and Darling as Josh Robbins going to try to give a little shove to that number 1 machine we're riding on board with Cole Freilich. Herzeg, you can just see how close they are all the way down this bumpy front straightaway into turn number 1.
Yeah, Zoltan Herzeg really jumping into your living room here, as Eric Brennan would say, through the tri-oval that time. The sun is starting to peek out. You see shadows on the track. That is good news for these drivers, I believe. That should open things up, free things up a little bit, so if they're getting tight, then, well, that car will free up. It's at least good news for us, at the very least. They might start to dislike it on old tires, but on new tires, it'll actually probably help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Get these cars to handle a little bit better with the already abrasive and old and bumpy track surface. We just continue to see last thing tick here now, double wide, not being too aggressive. Tommy Goss is on his way to the 4th car on the outside lane, and I think David Shutt trying to put himself into the top 10 here outside of Howie Briss, who we're currently on board with right now. They sorted out, and now there's more cars on the outside lane than that inside lane, but of course the inside lane is the shorter way around, and with all the bumps, I think that's going to prove to be very pivotal.
Absolutely agree with that. There you see Sean Williams making a run out of the bottom side. Like Emerson mentioned, with less cars on that inside line, it helps some of those guys further back. Jump up a couple spots to see Cole Freilich kind of get eaten in the middle of a sandwich right now. A couple cars jump in front of him. I think he's got the draft of Hayes Booth right now. He actually shoves Tommy Gossett out of the draft of that machine that Hayes Booth is commanding. So right now, Howie Briss makes it 3 wide right here. You can see just how crazy these 2 lines of racing are getting.
And Howie's looking for more. To the inside, maybe of Hayes Booth. He thinks about it. He almost took it, and he just moves Tommy Goss out of the way to get that spot, it looks like, on the top line. That should be about 7th or 8th on the timing sheets, and it is for now. Sean Williams down low. He was having a bumpy road a lap or so ago, really struggling the bottom side of turns 3 and 4, but getting things under control now. So lap 7 of 80. Ladies and gents, and this is what we have is Josh Robin down to the bottom side. He's always aggressive on these plate tracks. He drops down low in front of Zoltan.
Now that's something I'm a little surprised to see. Maybe they're just gonna flip things around here between Jared and Josh Robin. I know that they want to stick together most of the race.
Whoa!
Contact behind, and I think that's the 53 of Keithley in the barrier.
Keithley and Freilich made a slight bit of contact right there. Thank goodness both of them were able to hold on to the cars. Keithley got a little bit of the outside wall. Freilich was able to get that car squared away, and you can see that 53 dropping back right now, but man, they were both really lucky. Great driving out of both of them to keep those cars pointing forward.
Yeah, that was scary to happen within the first 10 laps here at Daytona. You see 2 packs are kind of forming. Obviously, these guys going 2-3 wide for the race lead. They have formed up about 10 strong or so, all the way down through Zach Lindgren in the 10th position. Then you start to have this breakup, especially as a result of that contact with the wall a lap ago. You can see them really spread out now. We got a lot of drivers back here, including newcomer Jared Wish into the field. John Barry is back here. He's safe in the chase. Elijah Gracia, he would have to win to make it in. He's in 29th in points. Sheldon Lockie, though, in this number 69, we've talked a lot about him just kind of floating around that cutoff line, Emerson, and here he is. He's got 3 points to Sean Williams, but currently it looks like he's 4 spots back of him.
And again, he playing the long haul, long card here. Sheldon Lockie just taking it easy, letting all the action play out. Wants to give him time if there's a wreck in front of him to give himself that chance to avoid it. Now he's still in the pack, and it's going to be very difficult at that, but he's going to give himself more of a chance. His contact up front. Herzeg gets shot down to the apron. He saves it. Looks like everybody will hold on to it. That could have been the moment right there.
Yeah, that could have been huge right in front of the entire field, but Zoltan Herzeg holds on to the number 96 machine. And yeah, there are a lot of guys right now who are laying back a little bit and trying to get through the beginning stages of this race without getting involved in any sorts of incidents. They don't have a ton of tires to go through, and they especially don't have a ton of car to go through. So they want to try to get as far into this as they can before they start getting aggressive. But at the same time, those guys are starting to catch right up to this front pack once again. And like you can see with Hayes Booth and Howie Briss running for the lead right now, it's anything but calm up front right now.
Close calls for Jared Darling and Josh Robin in the tri-oval, as well as Zoltan all over the back end of Howie Briss. He might have almost spun, and you see Howie get loose in the center of turn 3. Zoltan might have almost spun a lap ago, but that's not calming him down at all. This is complete the first eighth of this race, the first 12.5% across the line this time by, and it's going to be Hayes Booth, a rookie, leading us across the stripe, but only just ahead of Howie Briss. And Howie wants to get up there and get some points. He needs to get up there and get himself some points. He's doing a great job so far, but at some point, it might be a little more wise to back out.
Yeah, again, you want to leave yourself there at the end. My goodness, so close to losing it there off of turn 2, and they hold on to it. But now, Howie Briss and Zoltan Hertz, they're going to be dropping down the running order on that inside lane as they have lost their momentum. The top 4 on the outside are clear 3 wide as Lindgren way up high. Briss and Hertzeg still trying to sort it out. And Hertzeg now trying to get clear of Lindgren. That'll at least help them out a little bit up front. Robin and Freilich are getting pushed, pushing each other to the outside, to the front.
Yeah, we're starting to see those guys come back together at the front end and race for the lead. Robin on the outside, Booth on the bottom. Hertzeg maybe in the middle. No, Robin jumps down in front of him now, leaves Cole Freilich to dry up top. But I mean, you mentioned trying to get to the end of this race. It's a drive to survive, but at the moment, these guys up front are not driving like that at all. There's a lot of action going on and a lot of close calls. That was almost a big accident right there, too.
That it was, and if it wasn't good enough, guys, guess what? Darrell Baker up here in the 26th position, some 44 seconds back. This is the view. You can see the field at the top of your screen. This is the view from the back end of Darrell Baker's machine. Give it a lap or so more, and we're going to have leaders 3 wide at the old Scan of Daytona trying to lap TCB. That's going to be interesting. Josh Robin gets sorted out high, hung out to dry, and Cole Freilich takes the race lead, brings Zoltan Hertzeg on through. Tommy Gossett now taking a look sideways a little bit. There was Cole Freilich. Hayes Booth on the bottom side, and Jared Darling backs out. They're starting to, I think, take notice of the fact that they've got TCB up ahead, and they've got to sort this out quick.
Absolutely. And Jared Darling's actually dipping out of the pack. He shot down to the apron. He's going back. We're right on board of race leader right now. Freilich. Oh,
there it is! The crashing! There we go! Tommy Gossett and Cole Freilich are our first yellow at Daytona. Problems for the double aught, problems for the 15, and we have a caution period that just barely saves TCB.
How about that lucky timing for TCB? That was, if he knew that was going to happen, I don't know if he could have done that any better. But as far as Freilich and Hertzeg, we
look at Josh Robin.
Oh no!
There's a ton of damage on a lot of those guys. Really aggressive at the start of this race and try to be up front and lead some laps. And we talked about it the whole way through. We were scared up here in the booth seeing all of these close calls. You got to try to get to the end of the race, and unfortunately, that bit of aggression those guys were holding on to ended up coming around and biting them.
That it did. Down the backstretch we'll go in this replay, taking a look at what happens here for caution number 1. And again, it starts off with Tommy Gossett and Cole Freilich, but in what order? Tommy just brings a run to him and just hits him and just completely wrecks him. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. It's certainly not intentional, but we've seen that time and time again in the Real NASCAR Cup and Xfinity Series where you just get a run like no tomorrow, and if you don't lift, if you don't soften that blow, you're going to wreck the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very prevalent in, I think, the current Cup Series package when you get those kinds of runs, especially with Hertzeg and Freilich side drafting each other, slowing each other down, and Tommy Gossett getting a huge shot from Josh Robin. And that was just kind of bound to happen. Hertzeg was trying to go for the lead, trying to side draft to get that spot, and here comes Tommy Gossett like a train, just right through him.
Yeah, and that was a lot of contact right there from Tommy Gossett, but I do think that a pretty important part of this is that Hertzeg was down on the inside. I don't know that I'd guarantee it, but I think there's a definite chance that if Hertzeg wasn't there, Freilich may have had room to save that car and get out of the way of the 0-0 and avoid more of that contact that ended up making the big incident right there. It's just a tough situation to shine like the side and run out of space and go down. But Tommy Gossett gets a huge run out of turn 2, and he just wants to take it the whole way right here, but you can't take it to the back end of another car.
No, that you can't. You see the result. There were some problems, it looks like, for drivers like Jared Darling and Sheldon Lockey in this one. We'll take one more look back at it and watch it for them. And yeah, Jared Darling going to have a little bit of damage here, getting tied up with Sheldon Lockie and all of this. And you had just mentioned it, Emerson, where Jared is wanting to back out of the pack. There he goes, and yet he still gets involved in this. So that's pretty painful from Jared Darling's perspective. Pole sitter here, and one of the best pole sitters. You could almost call him Rocket Man here in the NORC iRacing series. Just gets a little bit of tangled up there with Sheldon Lockie, just trying to miss the crash through the infield.
Yeah, he should be A-okay in the pack. I don't know what that standalone speed is going to be on that one car, and I certainly don't know if he's going to have a car mighty enough to lead, but at the same time, I don't think we're done yet. I mean, the intensity was wrapping up on lap 13. I can only imagine that, that we might not have as many clean cars we have now at the end of lap 80.
Yeah, cautions do breed cautions a lot of times, so we're going to have to watch this restart. But at the same time, you know, you mentioned not too much damage on those cars, and obviously, you know, Jared Darling, Sheldon Lockie, as we see a couple guys come down the pit lane, they're going to get that fixed up as best as they can and hopefully restore some of that aerodynamic ability of the car. But David Shutt leading the way down the pit lane right now. Thankfully, he wasn't involved in the incident, as a couple of the other guys were. Daniel Falkingham, Spencer Ray, Brent Kari, other guys down the pit lane right here, just trying to shape up and get themselves ready. I don't think we're going to see anybody taking tires, so this is just going to be a fuel stop opportunity for these guys to try to go a little bit further into this race.
And Joe, I love that you mentioned tires, because these drivers only have 2 sets of tires in the pit lane. They do not have many options when it comes to Goodyear Eagles. They get the set that they started the race on, and then 2 more after that. So if you break 80 down into 3 equal parts, that's what, 24 laps thereabouts? No, that's going to be a little more than that. Probably 26 or so, maybe 27. Yeah, about 27. 27 is 81. So 26 and 2/3 of a lap, how about that? This is not quite to 27 laps, is it? So if you're trying to balance tires out evenly, you won't take tires here. But if this race goes green, tires could be a big help to keep your car, you know, maybe a better handle for the rest of this green flag run. So who knows? This might have been a tire stop for some, might not have for others. There's mixed results across the board. It looks like all of our longer pit stops, save Chad Oxendine and Spencer Ray, they are much longer and for damage repairs. So it does look like we are largely without tires. Well, only one car stays out at all throughout this entire caution flag. That is your race leader, Howie Briss, choosing the outside line for this restart, the first restart of the night, coming on lap 17. Once we come back around and take the green flag, a long line of cars lining up single file since they pitted on this 1 to go lap. The green flag flies, Barney gets it waving, and we're back green on lap 17 at Daytona. Zach Lindgren working his way up on the bottom side. You see them working now off the banking out of turn number 2. How do things shake out? Zoltan Hergzeg goes high of Hayes Booth. Howie Briss, though, doesn't want to lose that chance for the race lead. He goes high of the 96.
3 wide for the race lead down Daytona back straightaway. Howie Briss up high, Hergzeg in the middle, and they're both going to get cleared by Hayes Booth and Zach Lindgren. Michael Keithley looking to follow suit as well up front. Here comes Cole Freilich up the middle. He's got David Shutt, TCB, and around goes the 89.
Contact cars, that was David Shutt. John Barry here sideways. Yellow's going to come right back out. What an unfortunate situation. That 15 car got all the way back up to the front there.
No yellow yet. No yellow yet. We're still racing here at Daytona. Under green flag down to turn 1. Hayes Booth, Zach Lindgren, your race leaders. My goodness, where's the caution flag?
You know, I don't know. It looked like actually everybody was going to save it. John Barry was the one I think I saw get the worst of it. 1 by spinning down the pit lane, but 2 actually just spinning out. Everybody else saved it relatively, but this really split up the pack.
And those were problems as well for Sean Williams in the 89 car. That's the big takeaway from this show. He is way down the running order, 22nd.
Yeah, Sean Williams was the one who got into the side of Cole Freilich. The two of them made contact, and he was able to get a hold of the car. But I'm surprised. I would have expected a yellow out of that scenario. But obviously, we didn't get one here, and the field is going to spread out pretty nicely. This should help keep things kind of calm for a while with the field being so spread out. Not a lot of cars around each other to get close and have issues. So as we run right now, Hayes Booth and Zach Lindgren adopted a pretty nice scenario leading the way in this field.
To the top, it looks like 6 cars work out because they bring Terrell Baker along with. So from almost 1 lap down at time of caution, guys, TCB has worked himself into the 6th position, missed that crash, is hanging on to the lead draft. This is big, of course, for the driver of the 25. Now, he is 20th in points coming into this race, Emerson, but that puts him in a must-win situation. He does not have enough points to try and gain enough to get into the chase on those alones. He's got to win this race if he wants to make the chase, if he wants to go for a championship.
Absolutely, and I believe that's the main reason he started from the pit lane. If he didn't have the sim or other reasons plague him to make him start from the pit lane. The TCB playing it long, waiting for that first caution to come out, timed it perfectly, and he's got some right front damage. I have no idea where he got that. If he ran by himself for 13 laps and then through a caution period, trying to send out the middle right there, he fought better of it. Put himself back in line behind Cole Freilich as Zoltan Hertzeg gets pushed to the lead.
Hertzeg with Freilich and TCB on the top side. Hayes Booth, Zach Lindgren down low. Michael Keithley kind of jumped up to the top side just now, but he was about in a situation where he could pick and choose. Now he's going to commit to the top side. Look at how all over the place right now Cole Freilich jumps to the bottom line. I think he got kind of help down there too, as Hertzeg and Freilich go side by side with lead. Will Klein goes purple, Tom Mercier goes purple now. Guys are getting faster and faster here in the mid-pack of this field.
And here are a lot of those cars. Bobby Chaney sitting in the 7th spot. Will Klein now in a Tommy Gossett following Patrick Colby. That wraps up your top 10. Chad Oxendine back here. They're mostly single file with a few exceptions, and they are largely gaining on the drivers ahead. This is going to be a pack after maybe another lap or so. I think we'll have another pack once again, and you can really see Chaney and Klein leaving the field as now Oxendine takes it low with Colby. That's going to sort things out, shake things out a little bit. Very interesting, actually, that Oxendine would have taken that move, but across the line this time, it's going to be a new race leader, TCB, out front.
It took him 21 complete laps to go from last and nearly a lap down to the lead, and from nearly a lap down, it took him 8 laps, 4 of those under caution. TCB, well done, to the top of the scoring pile on the left side, but can he keep it up here, and can he keep it clean? I'd imagine now that he's up here, he's just going to try his hardest to stay up here as Keithley and Hertzeg get the nice push to the outside, and Michael Keithley gets cleared to the lead. Here comes Bobby Chaney to Hertzeg's rear end.
And if I was Keithley, I would be exceptionally happy that I've jumped to the bottom side, because Hertzeg was all over him on the back straightaway. It seemed like he did not want to give up any momentum and bullied the 53 car to the lead. Got somebody jumping down out of line right there on the straightaway. Will Klein now is going to try to jump back in line. No, he's going to stay on the bottom side of that yellow line and wait for people to come around him. Meanwhile, at the front end, Hertzeg is clearing nicely. Bobby Chaney with him helping. Zach Lindgren up top there, as well as Keithley's going to get a little bit of run with TCB down into the back straightaway. We'll see if he can get that 53 back into the lead.
Whoa, TCB almost turns Michael Keithley with his number. I just noticed the wrong way round on the roof of that 53 car. But Hayes Booth lifts, lets them gather it back up. Now a moment there on the top side as well for Zach Lindgren and Bobby Chaney, but they sort that out as well. So at 23 of 80, these guys wrapping around the banking one more time. Love these blimp views at Daytona. The top, it looks like 10, actually. They are all in one pack, 1st through 10th, as Cole Freilich and David Schutt bring up the rear. It's Zoltan across the line to lead lap number 23. We're now on lap 24. Can the 24 maybe take the race lead?
Well, surely he's going to try. He's going to stick with Zoltan Hertzeg for now, as they got to try to get themselves clear of Michael Keithley. They've got Lindgren, and look who's back up on that outside lane. It's Tommy Gossett again. We know what kind of power he's going to bring to that outside. Can he keep it going in the correct direction this time? We'll see. Everybody lined up on the outside again. More cars on the outside than the inside. Bobby Chaney changing that though, dropping down low and trying to go to the point.
The no bull car uses the bull horns. He's gone to first, at least for the moment, on the bottom side of Zoltan Hertzeg. Zach Lindgren. Oh, there goes TCB. Hayes Booth and TCB made a little bit of contact. They jump out of line, get it back under control, and jump back up in. Cole Freilich now going to give a little love tap to the number 25 to get them up to speed. Meanwhile, at the front end, Bobby Chaney fell off a little bit from Zoltan Hertzeg. Lindgren's giving him a nice draft on the top side.
Through turns 1 and 2, John Barry down low. Bobby Chaney might just have to lift. He goes 3 wide now. Zach Lindgren gives him the room. The rest of the field trying to work by. My goodness, they somehow shake it out. But a lot just went on, and Tommy Gossett, no!
Gossett involved. Oh boy, that's a lot of cars out there. Hayes Booth, David Schutt, Sean Williams, Daniel Falkingham involved in a big crash here at lap 25.
And that is not going to sit well with the rest of the drivers in that top 10. Take a look back at it. Tommy Gossett kind of kicking things off. Again, the catalyst in one of these crashes. Down the backstretch, you saw everybody just have to react and go high of that lap car of John Barry. John Barry did the absolute right thing. He held low, he stayed predictable, and just these guys couldn't quite make it by.
Yeah, we'll get the replay here and we'll see what happened. Here we go into turn 1. You see John Barry's damaged blue and orange number 74 machine staying on the bottom side there. Everybody works to the outside, double wide, but that's very doable at Daytona. Falkingham gets to the rear bumper there of Gossett. Everybody very tight to the middle.
Oh!
Yeah, that was actually a little bit of help from Falkingham right there. Cole Freilich just barely avoided getting involved in that. David Schutt and Hayes Booth, some others, unfortunately, were not able to avoid that scenario. But it looked like Falkingham got a little bit of a run there, tried to catch up a bit to Gossett, and the two of them ended up hanging up into the wall.
Yeah, I'll take that one back. I will certainly correct myself on that one. I thought Tommy Gossett kind of started that, but no, this is definitely Daniel Falkingham. This is all on Daniel Falkingham here. Tommy does go 3 wide to the middle of Cheney and Lindgren, but there is just enough room to make it happen. The problem comes when Falkingham gets a run here and then moves down into Gossett, and I just don't know where that move was going, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to cut him benefit of the doubt, Emerson, but there are 2 cars down there. I don't know where the 20 car was ever going to fit.
I don't have a clue. I mean, and you got to account that he doesn't exactly know if they've passed the 74 as well, so it could have been 4 wide. I don't know. That's a moment where you definitely just lift off the throttle, let things play out, live to fight another day.
The field's coming down the pit lane right now, and like Andrew mentioned earlier, we got lap 27, so we're about a third of the way into this race. You see a lot of those guys that had come in, took tires. I think leaders, some of them still sitting here on pit lane, but you'd think with Daniel Falkingham, there's the possibility he just didn't know that his front end and the rear end of the 00 were lined up as well as they were, if he was just maybe a little spatially unaware of that. And John Barry was a complete curveball in that situation too, for those leaders to get around. But at the same time, you have to be on your game. I mean, you're going 200 miles an hour at Daytona, Legacy Daytona. And, that little move that Falkingham made, just that little bit down to the inside, you can see what kind of things unfold from that.
It is lap 27 under caution here at the Daytona International Speedway. Bobby Cheney, now your race leader. 2 cautions in the bag, a few lead changes to boot. You can see 13 lead changes, so more than a few here in the opening third of this race or so. We'll take a step aside here at Pit Stop TV and rejoin you for the restart.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's a great gift to give anybody. It's just a unique concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Rejoining you from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. What a race it's been already, guys. It really has been a wild one to get things started. We've seen a lot go on in these opening laps, and it looks like we're ready for a whole lot more. You can see on board here with Zach Lindgren. He's to the outside of Bobby Chaney. Pace car lights have shut off, and we are ready to go green flag racing here in just a few moments. You can see the whole field working out of turn number 4 and ready to come to another restart. A wide angle here, going to get a nice perspective of things as they come down to the green flag and get things going. It's almost like you're a spectator up there on the outside of the tri-oval waiting for them to come to the green flag, and we are back green from Daytona. Got a plane landing off the back stretch of the Daytona Super Stretch, and we've got a battle for the race lead as Zoltan Herzeg has worked his way to the outside. Now Zach Lindgren going to help. Tom Mercier backs out. That's going to leave Hayes Booth in behind Bobby Chaney in the 24 car. Here comes James Simmons in the 57 and Michael Keithley in the 53. Working through this second lap off of the restart. And Zoltan Herzeg leading things up top. We're starting to get that top line going at Daytona. That would be interesting if that continues. TCB fourth in line up there. James Simmons, Bobby Chaney down low with Hayes Booth and Sean Williams in tow. Spencer Ray is back there a little further back of this top 10. It looks like, oh, there we go. Finally, the move for the race lead. Zach Lindgren goes from the attic to the basement. Down low of the 96 of Zoltan Herzeg. TCB goes on with, and TCB is going to push the 85 to the race lead.
So Zach Lindgren, TCB, 85 and 25 to the top 2 spots. Herzeg, Simmons, trying to see what line is going to... Oh my God!
There we go!
53. Michael Keithley eats the outside wall.
Big crash on the backstretch here at Daytona. Big crash. Many involved. Tom Mercier, Michael Keithley, Spencer Ray, so many drivers in this one. This is your big one, ladies and gents. There's Cole Freilich in it.
That happened so fast with Michael Keithley. I mean, the field caught up to TCB and Zach Lindgren so quickly when they exited that corner. There was just nothing they would have been able to do that far back. But holy cow, the speed that they brought out of this corner, you can see just how quickly the closing rate, just right up to the tail. TCB gets a little love tap, and there's Zach Lindgren. Keithley actually got it from shut as they all kind of slowed down when they caught up to first and second. And Freilich, Gracia, Keithley, Mercier, Lockie, I mean, they're all just piling into a stream of cars.
And this is big. You mentioned a couple of big names in the chase bubble, in Lockie and Williams. I think Sean Williams getting the worst of it between the two, but certainly Sheldon Lockie getting a piece at the very least. We'll take another couple of looks back at it here. This is very interesting down this backstretch at Daytona. A lot to try and dissect. Certainly, I think just a fatal error by Michael Keithley. He goes a little bit lower when the run is coming from David Shutt, and David Shutt doesn't have time to lift. And you see them all spreading out across the backstretch. And we've really got to watch. I think we've got to go ahead and, oh my gosh, concrete wall there for Michael Keithley. But we've really got to dissect this as far as specifically Sean Williams and Sheldon Lockie for the chase battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge scenarios being at stake here. Seasons made or break in this wreck, depending on the competitiveness of these cars. Sean Williams, one of those drivers, will ride on board with the 89 versus with the inside of Gracia here. And again, it happens right in front of him, nowhere for him to go. But how big are these impacts? How much damage does he have? There it goes.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, that was big right there for Williams, right off Cole Freilich. And you see just how quickly that happens. I mean, Sean Williams, he has to identify the problem and identify the concern that he's going to have. You know, where's that car going to go? Cole Fralick, that is, and just how quickly you have to make that decision. Unfortunately, Sean Williams kind of tried to duck in low. We're on board with Sheldon Lockie here. He had a lot more time to deal with that scenario, but unfortunately, as he comes in here, you get a little bit of damage from the track, from the grass, but I don't think Lockie got a huge amount elsewise, so hopefully that 69 car will be repairable and he'll be able to keep up and get rolling again with the field. But what a tough break for other guys in this group, and especially Sean Williams, and that's just not what he needed at all. And you know, we're getting closer to the halfway point of this race. We're getting to the point where you start thinking about your strategy to get to the front, and unfortunately everything's just going to change for the 89.
Saw how he presented a lot of damage further back. He was involved in one of those earlier crashes. He's got a lot of damage. There's Tommy Gossett coming in, and my goodness, the hits for these drivers in that incident. Elijah Gracia getting a large piece as well. Man, big hits. Thankfully, it looks like several drivers do get by out of this without too much damage, but several drivers, of course, picking up a lot of damage here as we get closer and closer to sunset. Honestly here, guys, we take a look above the Daytona, well, above Lake Lloyd back along the super stretch, and things are getting darker and darker as time goes on, very certainly. We're not to nighttime just yet, but we are getting closer and closer as time goes by. So we bring up the ticker, and we can see how things have changed. Bobby Chaney, your race leader, ahead of Josh Robin and Brett Pancari. That's your top three. Zach Lindgren, newly off of a pit stop, will line up fourth. Then Hayes Booth, David Shutt, Ariadne, Daniel Falkingham, Terrell Baker, Patrick Colby, your top 10, and everybody else trying to form back up.
Yeah, I don't know if you even really want to be pitting here and putting yourself in the middle of that packet. I mean, it looks like the safest spots have been the top four today. At that, because all the wrecks have happened pretty much catching up to the top 2 or 4 drivers. This is interesting, though. Again, the drivers who line up on the inside lane, they'll have to try to fight for their positions one more time and see how long they last.
Yeah, and we're trying to get this field back up together. And like Andrew said, you know, you're talking about these guys at the front end who are waiting for the people who pitted to come back out. You don't see a lot of cars that haven't been involved in an incident already. And one of those guys, I think, I don't want to jinx him, but Patrick Colby is pretty good at avoiding incidents like that. And obviously that's a skill that you're going to need to have at a race like this. So if you can keep yourself clean like that and be one of those guys at the front end now as a bigger incident, take a lot of cars out of contention up there, that's a good strategy to get to the end of these races and have a good points finish, at least if not a win.
Joe Donahue dropping some big points as we come around turns 3 and 4 and get ready for another restart here in the North iRacing Series. This is Season 13, Race 18, the final race of the regular season, the final opportunity for drivers to put themselves into the chase for a 13th championship in NORC competition. Coming across the line, we get things restarted. Lap 34 becomes lap 35. You see sun bathing turns 1 and 2 in light, but down the backstretch, Pancari goes low, problems for the 35. Meanwhile, Chaney with a huge push from Lindgren.
Yeah, I believe Pancari just wants to drop back, and again, I don't see why you want to. But how about Falcam and TCB? We found our way back here, back up front. Bobby Chaney leading the 5 drivers, a 6-car breakaway if you as Patrick Colby joins this group. Falcam and TCB making some hay on the inside.
Falkingham is fighting for his right to party right now, and he's going to come to the line. I think he gets the lap that time. Falkingham and TCB are on a charge down low. Right now, Bobby Chaney and Zach Lindgren still staying hooked up on the top side with David Shutt, Patrick Colby back there as well. But that was a ton of speed out of the 20 and 25 rather on the bottom side of the track, and TCB has to back it out.
That was close there for Terrell Baker. Now you see 3 wide. That's going to put Falkingham in the middle. I don't know if Shutt was thinking about 4, but he certainly made it look like it. And my goodness, Zach Lindgren, he's in. He doesn't have to worry about points anymore. He wants to go for a race win, it looks like. Lap 36 of 80 is a little bit early, though. That was aggressive down to the bottom of Bobby Chaney. Zoltan Hergzeg there as well. 3 wide on turn number 4. Chaney with the race lead. Shutt goes through the middle. And boy, again, We've said it about David Schutt so many times. There isn't much we know about this guy other than he is aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is exactly the type of race I expected when you get drivers up here like Falkenham, Hertzeg, and Lindgren who are safe in the playoffs, and drivers like TCB and Cheney who may need to make some desperation moves to win this race to save their seasons. The combination of all that is basically the product of the race we're getting up here right now. The huge shot from TCB to Zach Lindgren as Cheney is clear to the lead, but he's staying up high with David Schutt.
Ways Lindgren running second on the order, but you can see that whole field of cars kind of backed up and caught up rather to the leaders here. Slowly but surely we're getting a larger and larger group at the front end of this field, and we get close to the halfway point. What sort of change are we going to see in the style of racing for these guys once we start counting down the laps?
It's a great question there, Joe. You can see the gap on the bottom side now. Does somebody occupy it, or do we stay with a bias towards the top line here? Josh Robin on board of him now as he's behind James Simmons. You saw they almost went 3 wide down the backstretch. They pedal it. They get back in line up top. Schutt, then Zoltan Hertzeg, kind of a mix of his names there, in front of James Simmons, but all following Cheney, who now drops low in front of Lindgren.
This gives the opportunity for Hertzeg and Schutt to work their magic up high. James Simmons, look, for a moment he didn't want to follow through, and now we have about 10 cars, 12 cars in a pack up here. Everybody else single file behind.
Yeah, and everybody's just catching up to this lead group, but there's so many sudden moves going on right now at the front of the field, and that's what's definitely concerning me up here, to see all these cars just suddenly making moves between lines. That's where we could see some sort of mishap arise. So you kind of got to keep control of your car, and you got to be confident in the moves you make, but you can't make anything too crazy as they go around a lap car right there. Thankfully, they get clear.
That was passing Tom Mercier, and now Zach Lindgren, I was going to say the only driver on the bottom, then Zoltan Hertzeg goes with now Terrell Baker and Elijah Gracia joining the 85 on the bottom side. It's mostly all Zoltan, though, pushing the 85 to the tri-oval into the race lead. Lindgren leads another lap here. That's 39 now in the books. We're halfway this time by.
And Tom Mercier causing a great scare for the field. And he, other than Spencer Ray, the only cars that are kind of running around by themselves on the track. We have 21 cars in the lead pack. We started with 27 tonight, so that means 4 retirements from today. But again, a lot of racing to go, and Tom Mercier just trying to keep himself alive, keep himself in the race, because you never know what will happen in these races.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys start at the front of the field or fall back or come from the tail to the front. We had a lot of guys up at the front end at the beginning of this stages of this race. As we come to the cross flags right here, the leader's going to be Bobby Cheney, just barely over David Schutt. There's a lot of rotation going on in the grid, and we've only just gotten to the halfway point, so there's plenty of time left for the same to occur, and there are a lot of guys sort of in that bottom half of the running order right now who definitely are going to be able to put together a good run once we get to the end of this race, sparing they keep their cars clean.
Boy, things really getting shaky out of turn 2 that time by. These guys do still have to make a pit stop. If we go green to the end of this race, they do have to make a stop for fuel. Tires, that's up to them, as James Simmons bobs and weaves down the backstretch from the race lead. Bobby Cheney doing the same from 3rd place on the inside, and everybody checks up. Tires starting to wear, my goodness, TCB adding to the basement again. He goes down low. James Simmons looking for the race lead, this time across the stripe. Does the blue 25 get it? No, not quite across the line. Simmons still leads. Want to give a quick shout out to my fellow summer shootout crew that is watching in from the weather delay at Charlotte Motor Speedway currently. Hello, Jacob Baticki. Hello, Brandon Metler. Guys that actually race in the Cars Esports Tour on Wednesday nights here on the channel now. Those guys watching in as they are currently in that weather delay from Charlotte. Oh my goodness. Daniel Falkingham and Jared Darling. What a catch in the middle.
Man, I mean, we thinned out the field a little bit as far as drivers damage and drivers who don't want any part of this lead pack, and we still have the intense racing up here. Hertzeg was destroyed right front, giving it his all. Was right on board with him. Huge shots up front. Looks like Robin trying to hang on to whatever he's got in front of him. We go on board here with Bobby Cheney.
And we get a nice gyro cam from on board the 24 machine. You see he's running P5 right now. You see probably going to drop a spot or two. It looks like the top line had a nice bit of momentum into turn 1. Holy loose. The leaders are going all over the place right now. TCB and David Shutt staying side by side. Maybe Josh Robin. Big move into the middle. We'll see if that 8 car gets up front here.
That was really close from those guys. David Shutt falls back now. He gets moved out of the race lead. It's side by side between Baker and Robin. They've got Simmons and Falkingham respectively pushing them. Then Zoltan Herczeg up top as well for the 8 machine. And Falkingham tips out of line for a moment. It's going to be TCB across the stripe, leading lap 43, and Simmons in tow.
Josh Robin again, lean that outside. On board is Lindgren. Look at the run. He's got just drafting up the 2 cars in front of him. That's a monster run. Trying to work his way forward here.
All over the place as they come down the back straightaway. Josh Robin gives a huge run to Simmons on the top side. Falkingham is there with them. TCB and Lindgren on the bottom side. They are going to have to let themselves fall out of top 3, but Baker now gets a nice run as they're coming up on a lap car. That was Mercier on the top side. They all get through cleanly, and they run 2 lanes right here. Simmons leads the top side now. Josh Robin trying to see if he can make a run on the outside. He's got the horses in the back, and the number 8 car is going to take stronghold of the top side line.
Side by side, they hold 3 rows deep. Simmons leading Baker and Lindgren on the bottom. Robin leading Falkingham and Herczeg up top. And then even Gracia in tow in that 42 car. A lot of drivers stacking up. Once again, David Shutt almost takes a swipe at the rear end of Gracia's machine, but they keep things clean and green for the moment. It's lap 45 of 80. Several cars leaning back into a line much further back in this field, guys. Look at this. We got Ariati, Patrick Colby, John Bering, Will Klein, Sean Williams, Jared Wishon, Chad Oxendine, and Brett Pancari in this line back here. Spencer Ray is on his lonesome, and of course, Tom Mercier is a lap down and rather slow from his damages. But interesting, that line is starting to fall back, hold themselves back as well, as these guys continue the slugfest for the lead.
I was surprised James Simmons was playing the Dale Jr. strat, trying to control both lines, and he's now lost out to TCB and Zach Lindgren, the power couple in the 25 and the 85, working their way forward. They've been together all day. That's all I'm saying. But Josh Robin and Falkingham now trying to make some hay on the outside.
You saw TCB was all sorts of loose coming out of turn number 2. Venom driving the car right behind him, and a nice little up tap into turn number 3 is going to let TCB get a little bit of space in between himself and the 85. You can see from this onboard camera, we're all sideways in the corner right now. These tires are kind of wearing out. They're getting into the gist of the track a little bit. At the same time, they're getting a little confident, and maybe that's a factor in the way they're driving these cars. Here comes Simmons on the outside, and he's going to take a stab at running the lead.
Darrell Baker still leading for now, but it's side by side very closely with the 57 of James Simmons. A lot of damage to the nose of the 8 car of Robin, but he continues on, and that car is still very strong. But he could have the same problem that Tommy Gossett had a little while ago, where he got sideswiped by Daniel Falkingham to cause that big melee on the backstretch, because the right rear of that 8 car is pushed in, the left rear sticks out a little bit. So gotta be careful of that as he almost hooks James Simmons, and 1 car still on the bottom. That is Spencer Ray getting way out of the way, and the field goes by.
TCB clears up high in front of Simmons, now back down low. TCB wants to be the one to lead both lines if he can, but Simmons, the run too great out of turn number 4. And again, you're going to want to start watching these entries and exits in the corner. Entries in 1 and 3, exits at 2 and 4. That's where the cars are lightest, and that's where these tires are really going to come into play here as we continue to run. I think one of our longer green flag runs of the race.
Yeah, and those are going to be problem spots that we see when guys start to make abrupt moves like we've seen TCB make to try to control both lanes of the racetrack. And when the car gets late like that, you don't have much grip. That can just very easily get loose underneath you, and that's where the calamity occurs. So right now, TCB falls back a good bit here. Simmons leads Robin and Falkingham on the top side with Shutt and Herczeg right there too. TCB trying to do a little bit of side drafting right there off Josh Robin as they turn it out of turn number 4. It looks like Simmons going to be able to lead this lap, but Robin's going to make a charge and try to get something if they get into turn number 1 here in this short time.
Across the stripe, 57 car is your race leader. Terrell Baker in second, and they start to drive away a little bit. Look at that car length gap back to Lindgren for the time being. Now Lindgren pulls up, and he's got a car length, a 2 car length, a 3 car length gap. Back to Josh Robin, the 8 car, leaning way back. As soon as that car hits clean air, it drops like a rock. He's got a parachute for a nose, and that is really pulling the 8 and the 20 back as Simmons gets shoved out of line. TCB back to the race lead at Daytona.
And look who he's got behind it. Zach Lindgren again. Falkingham decides to dump the 8 and gets by to 57 as well. He's trying to make it the 3rd car in the inside lane there with the 20. And they're still 3 wide in the heart of it. Simmons keeping his himself in play here, trying to get clear of David Shutt, and he will. And also now Spencer Ray and Tom Mersing have dropped out of the race. They join Cole Freilich, Tommy Gossett, Michael Keithley, and Spencer Owens out of the race. So that means 21 cars in the lead pack. 21 cars on the racetrack.
TCB leads with Zach Lindgren. They are single file. You got Falkingham and Simmons side by side with Shutt, Robin, and Hertzeg in sort of a 3-car tandem right there. Now we got Simmons coming on to Zach Lindgren on the outside. David Shutt going to try to push him to the race lead on the outside of TCB. Into turn number 3, Falkingham got way loose, and that top side's going to bring a little bit extra momentum up there. The Aaron's number 57 goes to the front. Simmons leads. Shutt's going to try to charge into second right here with TCB down low.
Behind all of this, Elijah Gracia continues to sit and wait for his opportunity to move through this field. He just sits in ninth, just calmly waiting, letting these guys do their thing. Lap 51 now of 80 at Daytona. Do want to take this moment, we haven't done it all night, we want to thank our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Tucson Sound Art, Race Pace, Permanent Makeup in Crywin, Maine, Whiplash Media, and of course, BAM Racing Videos as the field works down the Daytona Superstretch once more for the 51st time, in fact, under competition here. Oh my goodness, they're getting sideways.
Yeah, they are. Again, one of the longest green flag runs of the night, and we're starting to feel it. These drivers are starting to feel it with these tires, and maybe those drivers who are laid back. Oh my, the clearing from TCB in front of Simmons, and you know what, that unfortunately, these two have been so aggressive with each other with that. Simmons trying to clear TCB and vice versa, but right there with TCB trying to clear Simmons. Now, I can't imagine they'll be able to keep it up much longer. We'll see though. Again, you know, high caliber drivers going at it. David Shutt nearly hooks Simmons there off of 2.
They jump to the top side, and that's definitely the abrupt moves that we were talking about earlier, where you got to avoid hooking yourself off another car if you just change lanes so quickly. So Lindgren got loose as a dog in the corner, saves it somehow. He loses a little bit of that run off of TCB on the bottom side. Simmons leads the way with Shutt in tow, and as you can see from the top of the grandstands, they're charging Viable this time. Going to have 28 more laps on this one.
Down to turn number 1 for the 53rd time as now David Shutt leads the show down to the first corner. It's all 57 down low though, and James Simmons quickly has that lead back, moves up in front of David Shutt, claims the race lead for his own, playing Pied Piper out front.
Oh yeah, and I was trying to say earlier, these guys that the fighting as hard as they are, racing each other as hard as they are, it's got to be wearing out the tires more than those drivers who are riding single file behind. So I wouldn't, put it past, like you said, Elijah Garcia just sitting there in ninth, not really wearing his stuff, just riding behind, seeing if he can make a huge run through the field as we get closer to potential green flag pit stops.
Yeah, we're getting closer to that, and I would think these guys are going to try to hold out as long as they can. You can see that the air temp's pretty nice. The track has actually cooled down significantly. Started in this race. You got a little bit of wind playing with these cars and the aerodynamics, and a lot of these guys have small amounts of damage that's making a pretty big difference on their cars as they charge down the back straightaway. But you got maybe 3 wide. Shutt was kind of looking. Oh boy, those are those big abrupt moves we keep mentioning. They go from top to bottom, bottom to top really quickly, and eventually that could come around and bite you in the tail.
And TCB, oh my goodness, he almost took a swipe there at James Simmons. You do not want to get on the left rear of the car that you're pushing. That is how you crash somebody. 3 cautions so far for just 5 laps, it's saying. I think that's a little bit off, but only 3 cautions is a pretty good stat so far. 30 lead changes at Daytona. Is this 31 maybe in the works? Zoltan Herczeg coming back on that top side with help from Bobby Chaney. And Chaney is somebody that certainly has a lot of success here in the NORC iRacing Series. I just don't think it's always come at Daytona. He wants to change that this evening, potentially, in that No Bull 24.
Oh, he put himself into position to do so as well, keeping himself in this lead pack, keeping himself relevant up front in TCB. That move he made down the back straight to cut off Hertzeg, get the push out in front, and cut off Simmons. Oh man, just further adds to the point between Simmons and TCB cutting each other off.
Oh, they're checking up.
Oh man, here comes Zoltan Hertzeg to the point, and guess who he's got behind? It's Bobby Chaney.
These runs and these jumps and all of this is just a heck of a show up at the front end of the field, and it's very exciting to see who's going to lead these laps. But I think if you want to talk about, you know, what you mentioned there, Emerson, and keeping yourself in the picture, keeping yourself, oh, Jared Darling got loose there out of the corner. Oh man, they're just getting all over the place. If you want to keep yourself in the fight for this race, maybe the Gracia approach is the right approach, because Elijah's sitting right out in the top 10, but he is... Oh, Lindgren in the wall.
Problems with the driver of the 85 out of Mooresville, North Carolina these days. And there they go up front. TCB is in it. Bobby Chaney and more. Lindgren just barely stops in time. And Gracia, who we thought might have missed it, is in it, along with Sheldon Lockie and so many more now doing donuts on the front stretch. My goodness, guys.
Unfortunately, it was only a matter of time. This contact originated with TCB and Bobby Chaney. Now, what exactly happened, we'll get to know on the replay, but it was a long time coming.
Yeah, these cars have been loose for a long time, going all over the place here on the track, and here you can see Bobby Chaney and TCB were the first two sideways down on the bottom side. They just kind of collected up further, and you saw like Sheldon Lockie, Elijah Gracia, and some others just kind of piled in. No, but definitely at high speed, and these cars are loose and all over the place. We've been seeing them sideways for a lot of laps, and this was coming.
This is down the Daytona super stretch. Zoltan Hertzeg leading the way, and it looks like he gets away completely unscathed. So it happens with Falkingham and TCB and Chaney. You can see Lindgren on the wall there. Chaney had moved up. Does Simmons maybe hook him? No. TCB just hooks Bobby Chaney. The top three go on by, and they wad it up behind. Josh Robin loses the nose of his car again. They'll have to go back out there and pick that up out of turn 4 for the second time this race, and you see the ensuing pileup.
Yeah, I'm surprised Robin lost his nose there. It didn't even look like he had contact there. Of course, net code is a thing, and prediction code and all that, and even the slightest tap sometimes with this damage that we have on the sim can make you lose the front bumper, but still, we're right on board with Elijah Gracia for this replay, and we'll see just what it was in front of him, what he could have done if there was anything.
Yeah, so we just passed Lindgren. We're on the inside of Jared Darling, and now we've got a big puff of smoke in front of us and just coming in too quickly. Couldn't get the car wound down in time. Gracia slides into Bobby Chaney, and then Lockie and the rest of them, TCB, there all get up in together. And you know, I was watching through that incident. It looks like James Simmons might have got a little bit of damage on the front end of that car, but he is super lucky to come away unscathed like he did, or pretty relatively unscathed.
He's not the only one. This will be on board of Sheldon Lockie on the bubble. 3 points to Sean Williams. This might end his season as far as making the chase. He is well behind Sean Williams now, but obviously a lot of racing to go if he can get back out there, but that is a big if. There's one other driver that I want to highlight that gets through this here, and it's going to be Jared Darling in a moment as you see everything just continue to pile up for Sheldon Lockie. That is not what you want to see for the driver out of the Northwest. But the other driver, again, Jared Darling, I don't know how he makes it through this. We were initially on board with him for his catch at a turn 2. Let's watch this one all the way through here, guys. I don't know how he makes it through.
Absolutely, we'll have to see here. I mean, look at him, 3 wide right in front. Lindgren in the barrier up high, barely misses him. Here comes Josh Robin hauling on the inside lane. He'll file in behind, and there goes the wreck. What does he do here?
Oh, he didn't miss it. The car looks okay, though.
Yeah, just a little bit on that quarter panel there, Andrew. You know, he didn't completely miss it, but relative to the rest of them, I think he got away pretty lucky.
Yeah, he's lucky to just shoot that gap as Josh Robin, I think, was the true lucky one. He seems to have missed it entirely on the bottom side, but pit stops now out of the way. Everybody has pitted under this caution flag, and it looks like 20th on back is done. And it's including now Bobby Chaney, Elijah Gracia, Spencer Ray, Tom Mercier, Cole Freilich, Michael Keithley, Tommy Gossett, and Spencer Owens. So of those drivers, the ones that we were talking about around the bubble, Spencer Owens is done. He needed to win. Tommy Gossett is done. He likely needed to win as well. Cole Freilich would have needed to win. It looks like Elijah Gracia, yeah, he would have needed to win. And then as far as the drivers still in the race but on the bubble, Sheldon Lockie comes in 3 points to the good, but he's the only driver really that I think is going to point his way into things, and that's a big if. I'm kind of getting mixed up here, my words, I'll be honest. But Terrell Baker, he comes in, he's now at 18th. He needs to win this evening. Jared Darling is safe. Zach Lindgren comes in safe. Will Klein doesn't have too many points to the cushion, but outlasting most of the rest of his competitors, guys, he might be okay. He's got 13 points coming into this evening. I think it's 13, maybe 12 points back to Sean Williams, and it's looking pretty okay for him right now. Again, he's outlasted, what, 7-8 drivers so far, so it's looking good for Will Klein. There is no Aaron Smith in the field, though, so this may open a position up to some of these drivers. The green flag will fly. We'll take lap 60, and these guys now are good on fuel. Early block from Zoltan Herzeg puts him in control of the race. Leading down the backstretch, Falkingham pushing him, and boy, really pushing the 96 is the 20. Now Falkingham looks low. Zoltan covers that move. Hayes Booth looks high, and that's where Zoltan goes.
And here we go. Now Hayes Booth, we saw him up here very early in the race. Now trying to put himself, reestablish his presence up front. Ari Audi into 23, putting himself in play. Howie Briss. This can get really interesting here in the final 20 laps. It's side by side with the top two in the point standings. And that time it was, I believe, it was Herzeg by 2 1/1000ths.
Herzeg leads the top side. Hayes Booth right there with him. Daniel Falkingham in the bottom lane leading that way. We got Howie Briss back in the picture with David Shutt right there too. So that number 97 coming back to the front end. We saw him earlier in the race, kind of fell back a bit as Hayes Booth is now going to make a run on the bottom side for the race lead with that rescue car in front, as you got Daniel Falkingham coming on strong right down there. See if they get close. Maybe a little bit of a love tap. These two are trying to clear Zoltan Herzeg and get out in front of him a little bit.
Hayes Booth potentially going to lead us back to the stripe. Zoltan Herzeg up top. Can he get him by the line? No. The rookie leads that lap. Meanwhile, I've just noticed here, guys, maybe you already called it out and I just didn't quite hear it, but Josh Robin is still in this league battle and has no nose on his car. I don't know how this man is doing this, but farming taters and chasing naders working out for the 8 cars so far. On the top side, again, no nose on that race car. If he gets back in clean air, it is going to probably be a parachute this time. And if it was a real car, we'd quickly see the fenders and hood go flying up and off.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, if you're in the pack and your car can start, you've got a chance. And that's exactly what I think Josh Robbins is right now. 4th car.
I mean, look at it, though.
Look at that thing.
Wow, you can see the engine, you can see the frame and everything under there. And I mean, like you said, you know, Josh Robin, if he stays in line and doesn't get clean air, he'll be pretty solid. And who knows, by the end of this race, he could have a chance to win. And that's, you know, that's what he's holding on to right now. But definitely has to stay in line and stay behind a couple other cars.
All right, guys, start taking setup notes. Let's try and jot down the camber he's got in the right. Oh, never mind. Howie Briss getting shuffled out of line on the top side, and Josh Robin going to go low as we mix it up for the race lead as well. Here comes Falkingham down low, trying to take the lead away now from Hayes Booth, but has no help. Shutt to the back end of Zoltan, and there they go! David Shutt and so many more.
Oh, Robin just piled into David Shutt right there.
Howie Briss and Sean Williams.
Oh, man, what a tough break.
The problems for drivers on the cut line again. Howie Briss and Sean Williams, two drivers needing to capitalize on the crash that just involved Sheldon Lockie. Now they're in our latest crash. Let's see how bad the damage is. We saw them stacking up here, guys. I noted that Falkingham was down low on his own, and everybody stacked up high trying to pass the 20 car, and this just doesn't work out. Simmons a push to the 8, Robin a push to the 5, and they go around.
For what it's worth, a relatively small accident with a car spinning in the heart of the field. Unfortunately, Sean Williams and Howie Briss, the two, I think, taking the hardest impacts of it, not even anywhere near the start of it.
Yeah, definitely, and you'll be able to see it again here. We're riding on board with Sean Williams. I think David Shutt just pulled off one of the most impressive, at least, turnarounds of an incident we've seen in a long time. Sean Williams just chilling right here behind John Barry into the corner, and like Andrew said, they all try to go around Falkingham on the outside, and it just gets too close together. There's the smoke. A little bit of contact with Barry right into Briss. Not much, but not a small impact and not a small amount of damage there for either of those two guys.
That's going to be a lot there for Sean Williams. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to continue, at least with race-winning speed after that. I mean, the nose doesn't look too bad, but that's a pretty big hit to take. And when it comes to iRacing, obviously, if you hit the nose of the car, it's going to damage the motor, right? It produces less power. And that, I think, is going to be the problem for the Taylor Swift machine, the number 89. Likely going to have problems after this. Drivers in the pit lane, though. Here's Jared Darling and so many more. Howie Briss in, of course, getting repairs. Oxendine and Pancari, it looks like, will lead the field off of the pit lane. Everybody else, Ariati back there getting repairs. Here comes his number 23 car off of the pit lane. David Shutt in as well. A lot of cars taking service. What do you see for the first time this evening? We go ahead and grab a driver to speak to. It's been somebody we've talked about a whole lot here, Emerson. Somebody on the cut line. Sheldon Lockie coming to you.
And Sheldon Lockie comes into today's race again. Only 3 points to the good coming into today's race on the cut line. It's been a very eventful race for you, Sheldon. What's the view been like in that 69?
I'm just happy I'm alive at this point, honestly. Like, I've been in basically all these crashes, like, indirectly, like, either going through the grass or, like, slight hits, but somehow I've been able to keep my damage down, and, yeah.
Absolutely. Again, 3 points to the good. I don't know how much that was in your head coming into today, especially knowing that it's Daytona, and I don't know how much it really matters, because what you can't control, what you can only control what you can control, but how much has that affected maybe you positioning that 69 car on track?
Oh, I mean, I literally have the standings up beside my fuel calculator, so I've been watching it and making sure, like, who I'm racing and where they are on the track, just to make sure I'm ahead of them, basically.
That's very interesting. At Daytona, especially, that's wild. Sheldon, you're here. 15 laps to go. 15 laps scheduled to go. We'll see if we stay 15 laps to go. How do you feel about your situation now? 7th, across the line there, 15 to go.
Pretty good. Like, I just want to kind of finish around here. I mean, everyone else I need to finish behind me is behind me, so basically just finish where I'm at. If I get a win, I'm happy, but I'll happily finish where I'm at, and hopefully the track doesn't go dark soon.
Yeah, there isn't lights on the Legacy version. That's right. Sheldon, all right, we're going to give you the chance here to shout out whoever you got to shout out. Thank you, whoever you got to thank for your running so far this season and today.
Well, I got to thank Tom Mercier. You know, he's been really helpful, like, making me race better and making sure I make smart decisions, so.
Fair enough, Sheldon. Well, we'll leave you to it. Best luck to you again. Outside lane here. Very, very aggressive pack. Hopefully we'll be talking to you on the first side.
Yeah, sounds good. Have a good rest of your guys' broadcast.
Again, Sheldon Lockie just inside the cut line coming into today's race. He's been watching the points, I guess, with reason. It's been a wild one, to say the least.
Sheldon Lockie will rejoin Green Flag Racing with the rest of the field from the 8th position. A lot of drivers kind of hanging back here as we get ready to take the green flag in just a few moments, but the 69 car will restart from the outside of row number 4. It's hard to say exactly who our race leader is, to be honest, with lane choice and all of that, but Hayes Booth and Zoltan Herczeg will lead us to the green flag, and I believe Zoltan Herczeg is the race leader. Lap 66, consider that done. Lap 67 has just begun. Green flag back out at Daytona. Down the Daytona Super Stretch, Zoltan Herczeg, your race leader on lap 67. So many more in behind. Everybody jostling for position here, Emerson. Who comes out of this one on top?
Honestly, it may not even be somebody in the frame right now, the way it's been today. It was so aggressive up front. I don't know how Zoltan has a clean car right now. He's been around everything today, but that 96 has been... it's kept clean so far, but again has to navigate 13 more laps around the Legacy Daytona Speedway here, and Hayes Booth, Daniel Falcon, and TCB lined up on the bottom side.
Yeah, and right now, if your car is still clean, it might be worth your time to try to get up to the front end of this group. That was Wisham just getting super loose. John Wisham gets a little bit of help from behind right there, being able to hold on to that car into turn number 3 and through 4. Is following TCB right now, and what a save! But your car is still clean at this point. Good for you, and you might want to get it up to the front because those guys with the damage, that extra damage in the aero pole is going to be something they're going to have to get around, and you're going to try to want to be in front of that too.
That's Jared Wishon with that save in turn number 3. Haven't seen him at all now. And there wasn't a scratch on that car, but I think James Simmons might have just added one to the back end of the 27 car, brand new to the series. Side by side, still for the race lead. This is the best showing we've seen out of Hayes Booth all season long. Isn't this overdue? I know Lori Booth, watching along on Facebook, YouTube, wherever she's watching from this evening, will agree. This is what we waited all season long for from Hayes Booth. This has been pretty cool to see. 13 laps led. We're going to knock on wood here. Hope that we aren't jinxing him. But this has been really, really cool so far for Hayes. The rookie of the series in the number 11 car will come around and take 11 laps to go this time by.
Zoltan darts down low. He'll lead at the start-finish line, so you can need to ride on board of Hayes Booth. Again, Hayes has needed it, man. The start of the season, I think it was somewhere like 8 or 9, 10, 11 consecutive weeks where he was involved in an incident. Now, I'm just glad he's able to get himself some laps led and put this 11 car up here, even if this race doesn't necessarily follow the way he'd want it to. Like, it's just cool to finally see him have a good run. I agree. And TCB now hung out to dry, and
there they go.
Oh no, there went Simmons hard into the outside wall.
Jared Wishon and James Simmons with problems. There's James Simmons. After all of that, in the Aaron's 57, Jared Wishon is somewhere much farther up the road. There he is in the tri-oval. A lot just went on. We had a close call with TCB first, and then this eventual caution flag with, it looks like, again, Jared Wishon and James Simmons. We watched part of it live. This is a look back at things as they were on 11 laps to go. Now 10, you can see Zoltan at the racetrack into TCB. Then a problem here with Simmons and Wishon. Wishon just hits the apron up the racetrack and really gets into him then.
I don't know how Sheldon Lockheed just squeaked his way right through the middle of that one. But Sheldon, another close call, another lucky call to keep himself alive in this race. Not so much for everyone else behind who could not avoid the spinning 57.
Yeah, we'll go on board with Lockheed here. You're going to see how well he handles this. So watch up front. You're waiting to see. There's the little dip into it, and Wishon just up the track a little bit. Simmons in front of him. Ooh. Gap just opens at the right moment for Lockheed to get through there without any damage, and unfortunately a couple guys behind him did get into that had kept their cars clean up to this point. Ariati and Patrick Colby specifically were the guys that I had noticed keeping their cars really clean throughout the entirety of this race, but on the back end of it they got a little bit of the 7 years for on board.
This is on board of James Simmons following Josh Robin. He might have squeezed Washawn a little bit, but Washawn definitely came up the racetrack and causes this one. And Simmons, my goodness, does a spin. And then up onto the nose of Patrick Colby and eventually down onto the racetrack once more.
Yeah, Ariotti, Patrick Colby, the two cars coming in most immediate contact there with the 57. It'll be interesting to see if Ariotti can keep himself alive in this race. I know he needs a good run today if he's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I was thinking Ariotti was going to be one of those guys we'd be talking about at the end of the race. He was up into the top 10 before the caution that preceded this one. He came into the pits, and now he was coming back up to the front of the grid. He had a clean car, but obviously a little bit of damage off of contact with the 57 machine. Definitely not what he needed at all, but hey, there's plenty of other cars with damage in this race, so it's not impossible for Ariotti to put something together here in the closing stages. Under 10 laps to go, so anything can happen from here, but that's definitely not what the 23 team wanted, or Patrick Colby in the 9.
One of those drivers with a lot of damage happens to be Howie Briss in the number 97 car. And Howie, it's been a rough and tumble round 18 so far, but you come in this evening 4 points back of the cut line. Aaron Smith not in the field, certainly going to open that, window of opportunity for you. How do you look so far? We're coming around to, it looks like 8 laps to go.
Just hoping that Sean Williams wreck and I'd take his playoff spot, so that's pretty much it.
Well, that's certainly one way to look at it. You and Sean Williams and Sheldon Lockie have all been around one another so far this evening and have all been involved in wrecks. Who do you think has the best car to go the rest of the distance?
Sean looks pretty fast. I don't know about Sheldon. I haven't seen him in a while. And then I'm just hanging it out, hoping that everybody else just wrecks because apparently nobody can get their foot planted on the ground and also their car as well.
So you're restarting in, it looks like, the 10th position for this restart, and we've talked so much about the bumps here at the Legacy Scan of Daytona. Scan back in, 2007, 2008? How has that affected things so far, and how has it affected your chance to get into the playoffs, the chase?
Well, for starters here, you got to run the top. You got to run the tail line. That's the only way that you can do it. If you run the bottom, you're pretty much killing your tires and your frame railing. So, not a good idea. I feel like the top's the best way. You can do it in any sort of car. It's the best sort of track to run the high side in a pack. So, you got your track. Want to run the high side? This is your track.
So there you go, ladies and gents watching and listening along. That is how you run the Legacy version of Daytona, according to Howie Briss. Buddy, we'll let you get back to it. We'll hopefully be catching up with you here in about 8 laps time, maybe 7 laps time, once we get this race restarted.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks, guys.
Howie Briss going to restart from the 10th position for this one, and I like that rundown of the Legacy version of Daytona International Speedway. Had a couple of questions out in the chat wondering what exactly that meant. Well, it means it's the 2007 pavement. Back before they had the track come up in a couple of parts. Back before they had repaved it all nice and smooth. So you can see the bumps along the apron. You can see the lack of some safer barrier. You can see the lack of the extra grandstands on the front stretch. And you can see the presence of the backstretch grandstands along the super stretch at Daytona. So, we will take the green flag one more time. Lap 73 becomes lap 74 on the 20 car. A great restart from Falkingham. Hayes Booth leads us out of turn number 2 on the inside of Daniel Falkingham. 3 wide in the back, double file up front, 4.5 rows deep.
Here we go. 6 laps to go. The darting around. The pack is condensed. It is go time. Will everybody make it around another 6 1/3 laps? We'll have to see. Hayes Booth is clear to the lead. Daniel Falkingham and Zoltan Herzog at the top, doing points, and Osa tail up high, and they're making a lot of it work.
This is the point in time where all those guys who are in must-win situations to get into the chase are going to be starting to put the binders on a little bit. TCB jumps to the top side there to follow Falkingham and Herzog as Hayes Booth gets left out to dry. Lindgren and Adi now on the bottom side catching up to that number 11 machine. But as they run through what was referred to as the Dale line, Falkingham, Oh, I thought he was going to get a little bit of the wall right there. He got a little loose off the front of Zoltan Herzeg out of turn number 2.
Oh, they're trying to crash for 5th, for 6th, for 7th. It's Darling up high now, 3 wide in the middle. Falkingham leading the show. The sucker hole backs on up. They race side by side now for the race lead. Zoltan Herzeg not backing off of the points leader. We lose them for a moment. We'll gain the back of the tri-oval. Here we go. Oh, maybe Falkingham saves it. He does. Might get turned there. Not quite. That was a drag race to lead lap 75.
And Herzeg is giving it his all. He's got TCB behind and Josh Robin and Chad Oxendine. I mean, everybody right on top of one another. There's no room. If he lets off, everybody's going to stack up. Hayes Booth jumps up to that middle line, if you will. Jared Darling still the only car on the outside line. Now up high, here comes Oxendine. Down the bottom side, Ariati pushing Zach Lindgren, who's just blinked out.
We haven't talked a lot about Oxendine throughout this race so far. Hayes Booth leads the way with Lindgren on the inside. Chad's still trying to make the top side work, trying to get the top side out. As they come out of turn number 4, they're going to come to the line with 4 to go. Booth, Lindgren, Falkingham, they're still all over the place, and there's a ton of cars that can still win this race.
Everybody on the lead lap can win this race as we take 4 laps to go. The rookie Hayes Booth leading at Daytona, back down to turn 1. The other rookie to his inside, Zach Lindgren, now powers down low. Zach Lindgren, no rookie to the sim, but a rookie to racing with the NORC iRacing Series. Both of these guys want their first win of their NORC career. They want it to happen at Daytona. Maybe a hook there from Ariati. They keep it racing side by side by side by side. 3 wide in one case, down to turn number 3.
Simmons and John Barry made heavy contact out of 2. They both save it. We continue on as we come around to 3 laps to go. Hayes Booth playing this beautifully. He's got everybody lined up behind him. Lindgren trying to fight for the 3rd car. They're now 3 wide for the 4th car in line there. TCB up the middle. Oxendine up high. Lindgren falling back. Now Falkingham looks up high of Hayes Booth.
Falkingham is looking. Herzeg's giving him the push. There goes Daniel to the lead. Hayes Booth left out to dry on the bottom side. Oxendine up top in the 66 has a lot of fun. Right there, maybe a little bit of contact with TCB and Hayes Booth. TCB runs in P3 right now. They're single file right there. Oxendine right on the outside as well. Josh Robin a part of the picture as well now.
We'll come around to 2 to go. We'll come around to take popsicle sticks at the line this time by Terrell Baker. Sitting in that 3rd spot. They shake it up for the race lead. Oh, 3 wide. Falkingham sideways. He saves it out of turn 4 at Daytona. Now TCB 2nd in line up top. Lindgren 2nd in line on the bottom. The 2 cars that work so well together all day long, side by side, pushing their partners in front.
A reenactment of the 2016 Daytona 500 there with 2 laps to go. Hayes Booth down low. He's got Lindgren, and Lindgren really only behind him. Zoltan Herzeg has an entire line of hungry drivers behind him. On board with Jared Darling, 3rd car on the outside line. Huge shot to TCB as they have a lap and a half to go here at Daytona.
Into turn number 3, Herzeg leads the way. TCB gives him a push. Hayes Booth with a ton of speed on the bottom line. Lindgren in behind him. Hayes Booth out of turn number 4, right there beside. Whoa, Lindgren has to jump out of line. Got loose. Ariati is going to be the next one in line. He's going to slice up. Oxendine as well. They come past the stripe. 1 to go. TCB goes to the bottom.
The Tucson Sound Art white flag is out at Daytona. TCB down low. He's got to win this race if he wants to make the NORC chase. They start to crash behind. We stay racing. It's the white flag. We don't care about it yet. Hayes Booth pushing TCB down the Daytona super stretch. It's not going to be Chad Oxendine at the line. TCB maybe gets a hook. They stay racing side by side. Ariati behind Hayes Booth. Now Jared Darling pushes the 96 out to the race lead. It's TCB in behind. What does he do at a turn 4? He's sideways. He's crashing. They all crash at a turn 4. Zoltan Herzeg is going to win at Daytona.
Wild finish, and again, off of turn 4, the classic Daytona, the classic NORC plate track finish. As they come off of turn 4, everything breaks loose, and 1 car crossing the start-finish line all by himself. Zoltan Herzeg, Hayes Booth right behind, really needed that result, and John Barry on the podium.
I was going to say, I don't know how John Barry got up there so quickly, but hey, Zoltan Herzeg drove a heck of a race right there, got a little bit of luck in his favor with getting a little loose in turn 4. They had a great run coming, but hey, you got to get to the finish line. Zoltan Hertzeg ran a smart race and a clean race, and that's how he got that 96 up to the top step.
I'm still catching my breath. What a final lap. Whew. That was a wild last lap. Brett Pancari, you see him congratulating race winner Zoltan Hertzeg. He finishes 9th. And in the 1 week where we change things up on social media, we ask who you've got each week now. In the 1 week that we take Daniel Falkingham and Zoltan Hertzeg off of your 2 options versus the field, it is Zoltan Hertzeg following up with a 4th race win. We asked you earlier if it was going to be TCB, Will Klein, or the field. Well, it was the field, the 96 car, getting things done at Daytona. Let's take a look back at that wild final lap.
I cannot wait to see this replay again. Just all the way around. There's Lindgren. This is coming to the white flag. Lindgren just trying to merge back in line to keep himself alive in this battle in case things go down to white flag, and they really did. The first wreck happens back there where they go 4 wide. Lindgren getting swallowed by that second pack in contact there with Will Klein. They all save it, and they continue on. Oh, no, not Sheldon Lockie. He eats an outside wall. Everybody else kind of saves it, and then there goes Patrick Colby.
Yeah, that crash included Will Klein, Sean Williams, that first one there, and that was a lot of the guys in the playoff cutoff line area, but they're still racing up at the front end. We had lost Oxendine at this point, so we're down to an 8-car race through 3. Hertzeg was up top, he came to the bottom. TCB tried to go to the bottom, I guess, to control the car, and then just everybody, calamity ensuing after that. Hayes Booth was trying to give TCB the push to fight with Hertzeg for the win, and the line they came, and Hertzeg had that one, but Booth with a nice run, and John Berry absolutely saw him just slicing third place again.
Championship contending hopes for TCB slipping away down the backstretch, and in turn number 3, you'll see Zoltan Hertzeg park it down low, and he just gets a little bit of a hook from behind from Hayes Booth, and at that point, I mean, you can't put anything on Hayes. It's just unfortunate that TCB got so sideways and will come across the line in 6th position. What I'm curious about is what happens to Daniel Falkingham and company on the top side.
Yeah, I guess there's maybe a lot of pushing. We'll get the replay here and we'll see and we'll confirm all that. Anyway, the Falkingham behind Josh Robin, I think maybe just a little too much of a push, or...
Yep. And to the left rear as well. Told you earlier you can't do that.
I don't know. It looked like maybe Robin checked up because the incident came up the track, but again, just they're close quarters, and of course he has the contact on the left rear between Falkingham and Josh Robin. It set that off, and the outside lane just nowhere to go.
Yeah, I definitely think that the situation with TCB is going to have a little bit to do with this. You can see the TCB scenario right here. He goes down, and just maybe a little bit of hesitation from Josh Robin or something, or maybe Falkingham was really catching him that quickly. But like we said, I mean, Falkingham just got right up into that tail end of Josh Robin, and unfortunately, I mean, you can't do that, and they get the rest of that group up front spinning.
How about this? Jared Wishon out of North Carolina, with the face of Zach Lindgren on the hood, ends up finishing 4th in his NORC iRacing Series debut. Here's how he does it. In turn number 4, you see him all wadded up out of turn 4, and he just goes low. Follows league owner John Barrett to the bottom side and takes 4th place. Not quite the podium he maybe would have wanted, but what a move from Jared Wishon to preserve a chance at a heck of a finish here at Daytona, and doing a great job of it. Incredible stuff for Zoltan Hertzeg. Back to the cool down lap. We'll make sure you guys get burnouts before we take a step aside. We will as well hang on and make sure that we know who is in the 13th season of NORC and the chase for a championship. For this championship, you get the picture. We will stay on air until we find out exactly who will be fighting for the championship here in just a little bit. But I got to go back to the fact that this is the one race we peg as a wild card race, and we take Daniel Falkingham and Zoltan Hertzeg off of the Who You Got post on Facebook. and somehow it's still Zoltan Herczeg winning. Emerson, I just don't get it.
I'm just gonna, there's a reason they're the top 2 in the standings. They know how to get it done even at a track where they can't really control as much as they'd like to control. Herczeg and Falkenham, they were up front most of the day on that outside lane, and Herczeg just leading the right line there on the white flag.
Yeah, I mean, they were very capable of controlling their lines and controlling their race cars. I mean, we saw a lot of guys getting loose over the bumps here at the Legacy Daytona, and that ended up being the reason for a lot of those contenders we saw throughout the race getting involved in accidents. But fortunately, I mean, a little bit of luck, well, maybe a lot of luck in this case at Legacy Daytona, but luck plays into it too. But, you know, you look at the way Zoltan Herczeg controlled that car the whole way through the race. There's a reason he's won so many times in NORC this season, and there's a reason he got to the line first today.
The standings are in, and it's very, very interesting so far. So, Aaron Smith, by drop weeks, does hang on to a position. However, Aaron Smith did tell the field, did tell the league on Facebook that he likely couldn't make very many more races, and he decided, much like Femi Olot, to drop the rest of the season and to drop his position if he pointed his way into one. So considering he's pointed his way into one, he will be foregoing that position by 1 point over Will Klein, which means that Sean Williams and Howie Briss will make the chase. Sheldon Lockie has been cut after the finish of Daytona because, of course, Cody Miller, who did not show this evening as well, Cody Miller is in the chase. He will take the wild card position away and move Sheldon Lockie out. So we'll cover that a little bit more over on social media, so make sure to keep an eye out there. But verbally, at least, this will be your chase field in Season 13 of NORC. Daniel Falkingham, 6 wins. Zoltan Herczeg, 4 wins. Then Chad Oxendine, 2 wins. Brett Pincari, 1 win. Then as far as points, well, Cody Miller does also have 1 win. As far as points go, John Barry, David Schutt, Jared Darling. Then skipping down a little bit to Zach Lindgren, Will Klein, Sean Williams, and Howie Briss. Those are your 12 drivers. Again, that'll be out more on social media. Make sure to take a look on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for updates there. But that is your chase field. So we'll take a step aside. We will take a break here from the Daytona International Speedway and rejoin you with post-race coverage momentarily.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Legacy Daytona International Speedway. What a show. My voice is a little bit hoarse after that one. I don't know about the rest of you guys here in the booth, but what a show these guys put on at Daytona International Speedway. 2.5 miles of excitement each and every time for 80 laps. And what a show it was there off of the final restart. It ends up being Zoltan Herczeg getting things done in fantastic fashion. Let's bring in the driver of the 96. Hopefully we'll try and get a word with him. Zoltan Herczeg, buddy, what a finish. I've been talking about it since the drop of the checkers. We took you and Daniel off of the Who You Got post over on Facebook today, thinking we'd get a wild card winner. Yet here you are, putting yourself back in victory lane a fourth time this season.
Yeah, that was awesome. I wasn't expecting to really run well. I always get wrecked in these restrictor plate races, so usually my strategy is to chill in the back, save the car for the end, but I was like, alright, screw it. I'm already locked into their chase, so I'm gonna just try to get to the front, stay up front. And it seemed to work out a lot better, and it was tough racing because that high side was preferred, so I didn't want anything to do with the bottom at all, so it was just kind of tough trying to hold that high side and make sure that you can kind of keep it, and then once you get to the bottom, you kind of get screwed because you're gonna get shuffled back. So it was tough playing those lines and stuff, but that was a lot of fun. That was I think that was my first restrictor plate win, so that was pretty awesome. Besides like the 87s, but yeah, that was awesome.
You mentioned the 87s. We ran those cars for the NORC Classic, and it came down to you and Femi Olot for the race win. I believe you got that, didn't you? It was a wild race then. It was a wild race here at Legacy Daytona again. What do you feel like was the key other than just the top side? Was it managing the bumps, or was it laying back and keeping yourself out of trouble?
Definitely managing the bumps and managing the runs. The runs were just so massive in this car that you kind of had to be easy. If you got a huge run on the guy in front of you, and you got a guy tucked up behind you, you got to make sure you slow down a little bit earlier, not just like hit the brakes, because then you know they're just going to wreck behind you, or you're going to get wrecked, kind of thing. So it was tough managing that closing pace, that closing speed, and that's really, I feel like the key right there is just this managing those runs and making sure you have the right run to the checkered.
So Zoltan Herczeg getting things done, and of course, you were one of the few drivers that didn't have to worry about this race. Well and locked into the chase at this point in things. And officially now we begin the run to a championship. Do you think you can go back-to-back?
What track is it again? I don't even remember.
Well, no, I mean back-to-back for a championship.
Oh, back-to-back for the champion? Oh. Yeah, that's going to be that's going to be tough. Daniel's on top of his game. He's killing it this season, and it's going to be tough to beat him. And really anybody could do it. It's all getting reset next week, so it's really anybody's game, and you just got to do your best you can in each race and limit the mistakes, and hopefully we can be close at the last race of the season.
Zoltan Herczeg, very humble, very, I think, looking forward to the opportunity to race for a championship once more, and knows what he's up against in Daniel Falkingham. Buddy, who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out here as you get your fourth win on the season?
I got to thank everybody watching. Thank you guys for broadcasting. It's going to be fun rewatching this one, and thanks for John Barry putting on the league.
Zoltan Herczeg, the number 96, atop the scoring pylon, gets it done at Legacy Daytona. We'll move him aside. We'll talk to him, I'm sure, a whole lot more this season, but we'll move things down to second place, and it's going to be Emerson Arden alongside Hayes Booth. This should be a fun one. We haven't gotten to talk to Hayes Booth yet this season here in the NORC iRacing Series, and as a second-place finisher at Daytona, it's got to feel pretty good for the rookie.
Absolutely. So we bring Hayes Booth into the booth. Hayes, a great day today. 16 laps led. Unfortunately, 4/10 off of Zoltan there at the end. I mean, what could you have done differently?
Honestly, I don't know whether to be stoked about my new best finish on the season or very sad that I came that close. I think I'm gonna choose mostly sad. It hurts to have come that close. I can't tell you how much I wanted to win this race, and I really thought I could there at the end, but I think it was with 3 laps to go. I knew the outside was probably going to be the place to be, but Daniel, poked to the outside there and with 3 to go, and I didn't want to turn myself, so I moved down low. I think had I been able to manage it there on the outside, I don't know if I would have hung on or not. It probably would have been shaped up a little bit differently, but I don't know. Yeah, it definitely felt good to lead laps in a race. But yeah, just it hurts to come that close to my first win.
It's completely understandable. The roller coaster of emotions. Again, the margin of victory was the margin that you were to making it to the NORC postseason. 26 points for making it into the playoffs. A potential first win in your rookie season. A lot could have been had there. But what does it say about you in your rookie season for getting that close against this caliber of field, this caliber of drivers?
Well, yeah, I mean, it feels good. The fact that it's a plate track kind of, I shouldn't say it takes from it, because, I'm obviously finishing good and leading laps anywhere is something to be proud of. But, literally, almost every other track, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've sucked at almost every other track. So, yeah, I think it's just a matter of I got to, try harder, practice a lot more, and just see what I can do to, be as fast as these other guys. I'm top 15 in the points now. I just checked, so, that's good. Top 15 in points at this point in the season is kind of my goal, so we'll see if we can stay there.
Absolutely, and you mentioned earlier the top side is probably going to be the lane to be, but how was it on that bottom side? Again, very treacherous with all the bumps, and then I know there at the end you kind of had a car right in your lap with TCB, but how was it just keeping it pinned on that bottom side?
Oh yeah, it was tough at certain points, especially when I was behind somebody having to push them. Because it's kind of a mixture of you want to get up there, you want to be a little more aggressive, but you don't want to turn the guy ahead of you, and it's tougher to hold your line on the bottom, especially coming out of turn 2. The car just wants to drift up coming off of turn 2, and when you're getting pinched and you're boxed in, that's really something you got to try to manage. So yeah, I'd say I definitely felt more comfortable on the high side.
Absolutely. Well, Hayes, again, I was very sympathetic of the way your season went overall, and I'm very glad you got your laps led today here, your 16 laps led, your second place finish, and the fact that you got so close to making the playoffs in your rookie season. A lot to be proud of there. So, who do you got to shout out, who do you got to thank for all of that and your running today?
Yeah, I got to thank everybody at my team, Walter Esports, for supporting me. Y'all didn't see it on the broadcast, but they were on my car tonight, and I got to thank John and everybody putting NORC together. This is an awesome league. Been a lot of fun running this season. I want to thank all you guys at Pit.TV for broadcasting. Y'all do an amazing job. I want to thank my parents for watching, and literally in the final few laps, I could hear my mom yelling from the living room watching the broadcast. So I want to thank her and my dad and my whole family for supporting me, and all my friends for watching at home.
Absolutely. Nothing like a little familiar support. That's great to hear. But Hayes, once again, congratulations on your second place finish tonight. All the laps led. Best luck to you in the rest of the season, man.
All right. Thank you, guys.
And second place finisher, Hayes Booth there in the number 11. 16 laps led. A great day for Hayes. Just a little short from winning his first race and a little short from making it into the playoffs.
Absolutely, and still a good performance for Hayes Booth there, and it wraps up sort of a rough couple races for him, so that's definitely something worthwhile. But we're going to go ahead and pull a guy into the booth now. We're going to get the head honcho. He finished P3 here, John Berry. Now, John, you had some ups and downs throughout this race, but that last lap, that was crazy, and things happened so quickly. The seas kind of parted for you. Give us your perspective on what you were seeing through 3 and 4 and up to the checkered flag.
I saw a lot of smoke. I saw cars going up towards the wall, and I saw a big opening down there on the apron. I was like, that seems like a good place to go. So I went there, and I missed all the wrecks. It was great. But yeah, that's pretty much what I saw there. That's kind of what I saw for the majority of the race was a lot of smoke, and a lot of crashes in front of me.
Yeah, that was sort of par for the course for a lot of guys throughout this race to see that at least once, and for some more than others. You specifically, we saw you. I mean, you were further back in the field. I think you were lapped down at one point in this race. How did you put together a strategy that got the 74 back into contention? And then obviously, at the end there were a couple cars involved in a wreck, but you were in a pretty good spot on that last lap. How did you get that car back up there?
I know it seemed like there was like quite a bit of luck involved. There was just like so many like wrecks. By the time I would get back going, after I got my lap back, like something would happen where I get knocked back and I had to crawl my way up. Like I really never got up close to the front of the field, and just trying to throw it in there where there was a hole or both lanes. Like at a normal plate track, I feel like you want to be on outside and make moves because the bottom lane is so choked up because everybody wants to go there. But here, where a lot more guys want to kind of run up top because it's a little less bumpy, you kind of make some ground up on the bottom, which I was trying that. But sometimes it's working, sometimes not. I just got really lucky to get to the spot where I was.
Well, hey, a little bit of luck plays in and goes a long way to track like Daytona, and then you look forward to the rest of the season and the playoffs. We're going to Indy. We're starting the trek to the finish there. Surely you're going to try to have a good strategy going into that race. What are you thinking, and what are your insights sort of as we go through this playoff picture to see what you can do with the rest of this season?
Indianapolis is actually one of my better tracks. I've been close to winning there several times. So for a reason, Indianapolis, I can kind of do well there. So I'm looking forward to that race. I think Bristol Dirt, that's going to be something. I don't know if it'll be a good something or a bad something, but that race is going to be something. And there's some tracks on there in the schedule, like, what is it? Well, we got the New Texas, which we haven't done a race there yet. And we got Vegas and Chicagoland, which Mile Half some see my bread butter. So I'm looking forward to Chase. There's good tracks in there for me. I just hope I can just, survive some of the carnage that we seem to get in some of these races. But they've been pretty clean, so just gotta mind my business and not get caught up in anybody else's business. I think I should be okay. It's just Sultan and Daniel, they're gonna be really hard to beat.
That's very true there, John. But hey, you got the chance, and you're going to get a couple races here to see what you can do in the playoffs. So we're hoping to see some good performances out of your team for that. Good luck with that. And just anybody here, your team, anybody else that helps you get to this point and give you the opportunity to turn things around like you did tonight, get up into the podium. Who do you have to thank here on the broadcast for your showing in that 74 car?
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for doing the broadcasting. You all do a great job every week. I always go back and watch races when I get an opportunity, and it's like watching a real TV broadcast. It's really nice to watch. I'd like to thank everybody who showed up tonight. We was kind of due for a kind of a plate race that had some wrecks in it, and this track seems to bring out the excitement more than some others. So, but I'd like to thank everybody who showed up. I'd like to thank my beautiful wife, Miranda. We actually got married last weekend, so love you. And I'd like to give a shout out to Dylan, who was preparing my car all week. Actually, preparing my car all night tonight. He did a great job fixing the car. I tried my best to completely destroy it, but he got out there. He fixed all the dents. He put some screws in there. And I like to give a shout out for Dylan for fixing my car. And numerous amount of times I tried my best to destroy it, but he fixed it, and we got top 3 out of it. So thank you, Dylan.
Well, there you have it. A lucky man here, a recently married man, a man in the playoff picture. John Barry, congratulations for all of that from us here at Pit Stop TV. We'll hope to be talking to you again in the near future with these races left to go.
All right, thank you very much.
And that's your rounding out the podium, your third place finisher, John Barry. What a run to the line he had. And there were a lot of other guys who got really great performances out of the night with the calamity that ensued there, Andrew.
Yeah, there were a lot of good nights all around, and John Barry is one of those really good nights. 22nd up to 3rd. That's got to be among the best of the recoveries throughout the course of the evening, or at least the advancements throughout the course of the evening. Let's take a look at our race results this evening from the Legacy Daytona International Speedway. Zoltan Herzeg winning at Daytona. Hayes Booth comes in second. How about that for the rookie? Then it's John Barry in third. Another rookie in fourth. Brand new to the league, just joined last week. Jared Washon comes in fourth, and it's Ariati rounding out your top 5. TCB a few spots and about a second and a half shy of making the NORC chase, ends up 6th position. Zach Lindgren there in 7th. Jared Darling in 8th, Brett Pincari in 9th, and Sean Williams. That top 10 goes a long ways to putting him in the chase.
Absolutely. On to the second page here. Howie Briss in 11th there. James Simmons in 12th. Howie Briss again just making it in, squeaking in. Daniel Falkingham 13th after being up front a lot of the day. David Shutt will come home 14th. Chad Oxendine 15th. Will Klein will come home 16th. Josh Robin finally lost the front bumper, and that second time he lost it. He'll come home in 17th. Patrick Colby 18th. Sheldon Lockie was so lucky all day right up until the end. He'll be 19th. Bobby Chaney 20th. 25 laps down.
Yeah, and then we roll into more of the field of cars who did not finish this race. Elijah Gracia will be scored 21st, 25 laps down. Spencer Ray comes home 22nd, 34 laps down. Then Tom Mercier, 37 laps down in 23rd. Cole Freilich in 24th, 53 laps down. 47 laps down in 25th is Michael Keithley. Tommy Gossett was 26th and 49 laps down, and he was gunning for a chance to get into the playoffs. He was kind of close to that line. It's a tough break for him. Spencer Owens in the 12th, going to round out in 27th, 74 laps behind the lead cars at the end of the race here tonight.
Big shout out to our partners at Pit Stop TV this evening, Tucson Sound Art. Of course, the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art now, but a whole lot goes on over there on the operation at TucsonSoundArt.com is one that is second to none. You've got to go check it out for yourself today, and make sure to use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your order when you do so. Of course, a big shout out as well to Race Pace Setups, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, the official broadcast graphic provider of Pit Stop TV, and BAM Racing, videos by a race fan for the racing community. Tucson Sound Art, Race Pace Setups, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, and BAM Racing videos, making it happen for us at Pit Stop TV. So if you were to turn it over to me, Emerson, as far as who I want to thank, it's those guys, of course, all 5 of our partners at Pit Stop TV. A wild one. Again, this evening, I don't think there's too many more ways that you can describe it. I guess there actually are a good few adjectives, but the big one is just a wild one this evening.
Absolutely. Again, we had everything. Intense racing, big crashes, exactly what, racing fans would want and expect coming to Daytona. And somehow we get a winner we're used to in victory lane. Zoltan Hertz again, second winningest driver on the season now. He'll be second and has momentum on his side heading into the playoffs. Can he outdo Daniel Falkingham? It'll be interesting to see. But again, well, not tonight. And Hertzeg with the momentum.
Yeah, and those guys have just a really great run that should be very exciting to watch, Falkingham and Hertzeg throughout the playoffs. But you talk about a track like this, the Legacy Daytona, it's got the bumps and the jumps out there on the super speedway, so there's plenty of opportunity for the cream to rise to the top. And I think that's something we talk about a lot in these broadcasts, but it definitely happened tonight. I mean, Zoltan Hertzeg on the money and just was able to keep that car out of harm's way. A little bit of luck plays into things here at the track, as you saw by the ending of the podium with John Berry, but just a good race to the line. I was pretty impressed by how long we got those green flag runs in. We had a couple incidents, but what do you expect out of Daytona? It was still a really great race, and it was very exciting to round out that regular season.
36 lead changes, 6 cautions for a total of 18 laps. Things were pretty clean and green and exciting through and through. Want to thank everybody for tuning in here at Pit Stop TV. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up the rest of the week on the channel. The IORL International Online Racing League Championship finale tomorrow night, 7:20 p.m. Eastern Time, from the Auto Club Speedway. Followed up, simultaneously, we will have the Outlaws Sim Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. A couple of pretty cool races going on tomorrow, both from the West Coast, before we head on over to Germany on Thursday for GT3 action with the North American Racing League, a league that has really had some serious and awesome support over there. The North American Racing League is shaping up to be a really, really good one, and there are big things on the way. Of course, Kanan Esports is dominating in NARL so far. Can't wait to see how the rest of the season goes, but just looking forward to a lot of great racing the rest of the week here, Emerson. And you can go ahead and highlight a little bit of what's going on Wednesday from Las Vegas.
Well, Brad Bothwell has been on an absolute tear in qualifying. He's looking for his potential 5th consecutive pole. I still can't believe that. I can't fathom the run he's had in qualifying. He's also looking to try to make some hay out of that. Been able to string some top 5s together the past couple weeks. Can he improve upon the running order there? We still have yet to see the most dominant driver of the season, Greg Holt, make it the victory lane. He won at Las Vegas last season. He'll be another driver to watch out for. And a lot of fun as we head to another 1.5 miles on the season.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to again throughout the rest of the week and in each one of our series. Next Wednesday, in case you're wondering, we'll have the Cars Esports Tour back from Myrtle Beach. So that's kind of on a bi-weekly, a tri-weekly schedule almost. That's why last week we had it on Wednesday. This week we have IORL. And then, of course, we keep Outlaw Sub-Series on Wednesday evenings. Next Tuesday, though, of course, you NORC viewers, you will get to watch the NORC iRacing Series begin the chase from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but on the oval just a couple of days after NASCAR in the Xfinity Series and Cup Series takes to the road course, the Roval, if you will, at Indianapolis. We'll be on the oval next week to kick off our 7-week chase. Let's take a look at our chase races actually coming up for season 13. Here we go. Indianapolis, Texas, Bristol Dirt, Darlington, Phoenix, Chicagoland, Las Vegas. We've talked about it so much over the course of time. It is going to be a fun one. These 7 races to round out a championship. A lot to look forward to, a lot to be excited for. And of course, you can catch it all here on Pit Stop TV and our social media platforms, Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Twitter.com/PitStopTV_, Instagram.com, and Twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, as well as YouTube.com/C/PitStopTV1. Guys, want to quickly ask, before we wrap things up completely here from Daytona, any further final thoughts, anything that maybe took your eye this evening?
Just the bubble battle and the drivers on the bubble. I can't believe Sheldon Locke was keeping his eye on the standings the entire night. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but I mean, well, you can't control your own destiny at Daytona. I'm sure a lot of drivers who had their stomachs rumbling if they were going to make it, if they weren't going to make it. Now it's settled because you've either made it and you're gearing up to go for a championship, or you haven't, and you're gearing up to try to win one of these final 7 races.
Yeah, even for those guys who didn't make the playoff, make the chase, they still want to win races. You know, they're going to show up and they're going to try their best to get a couple points and try to maybe move up in their own rankings. But, you know, you go to Indy, it's going to be interesting to see whether these guys bring some of the raw emotion of what just unfolded here tonight, if they're going to bring that forward to Indy, or if they're going to let themselves reset and get into a good mindset to tackle that track. It's 2.5 miles, just like Daytona, but it drives completely different. It's sort of the mecca of motorsports, if you will, in terms of at least, you know, open wheel and long-term history in the United States with automobile racing. So it's a stage to win on, and it's a place that a good driver has to rise to the top, just like what happened here tonight at Daytona. So I'm very impressed by the field, actually, that we had such a good race and such a clean race. I know we were a little squiggly wiggly throughout the event, but they had a lot of really good green flag runs, and I thought that really showed, you know, what NORC is all about. So it's going to be exciting to see what they bring forward from Indy, but I thought tonight was a great performance by the whole field.
It certainly was a pretty solid, a great performance, a fantastic performance this evening, this afternoon, whatever it may have been for you, or if you're watching this days or years, maybe after the fact, maybe a good morning, or who knows what for you watching this one. It was wild at Daytona. So glad to have shared it with these guys here at Pit Stop TV. Of course, Emerson Arden, Joe Donahue, Trey Shuttlesworth joining me in the booth from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, the legacy scan thereof. I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in here at Pit Stop TV, all of our partners here at the channel, Tucson Sound Art, Race Pace, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, BAM Racing Videos, and everybody else involved with the channel. It's been a fun one. It's been a fantastic one, and I can't wait to do it all over again next week from Indianapolis and the rest of the week again with those aforementioned broadcasts. Thank you so much for watching again. This has been Andrew Cardinale in the booth, Emerson Arden, Joe Donahue alongside me, Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media coverage, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.